Hello and welcome to Dash 28 Live. I'm your host, Mike Adkins, and joining me today we have Mike Grant and Antonio Carrasco playing their third round Call to Arms match. They're going to be playing 2,300 point lists, and the scenario for this round of the tournament is Raise. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being here.
All right.
Also joining me here in the studio to follow along with the match is Britton Williams, Matt Carmack, and Luis Serra. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being here. And without any further ado, let us proceed to checking out your lists. All right. Yep. So this is Antonio's Undead list. Antonio, could you talk us through your list, please?
Yes, sure. I have a 2,300 list of undead. I have an orc of some, then a revenant orc as well.
So is he coming through his robot voice for anyone else?
A little bit.
Okay.
I can follow along though.
Okay. Then I have a white regiment with the view of Starlet, so it's the left beat. Then 2 regiments of Soul River infantry. One of them with the same stone for the nerf and also 16, and the other with the galleys of Rep, so they are Fury. Then it drops regiment cavalry without any artifacts, and an order of white with the boots of striking. In the gonna be quite important for this scenario because there are a lot of hinder charts. Then I have a vampire lord based on deck force, the artifact. Then a revenant king, dragon, whatever. And then two necromancer, one with the conjurer's staff, short and income, and the other one with the inspiring and short. And
All right, great.
all.
Yep, awesome. So that's 13 drops and 23 total unit strength, which I think is pretty much on average for what we're seeing out of tournament lists these days. Cool. So thanks for walking us through that. Now let's flip over and take a look at Mike's Order of the Green Lady.
Hey, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, so I've got Order of the Green Lady here. So I've got, I'll start off with my Naiad Ensnarer. It's my Ensnarer wall. I've got 4 of the Heart Piercer units. They're just all troops, no items. I've got an Order of the Brotherhood. I've got the Pathfinder upgrade with, and also the Brew of Strength item. They 2 Water Elemental Hordes, one with Brew of Sharpness and one with Brew of Haste, so I can keep up with the Knights. I've got a Woodland Critter Shield. They happen to fly, so that's quite nice. People underestimate them. The Beast of Nature, pretty much a staple in my army. I've got a Pegasus, which works good as pretending to be gargoyles. And I've got my Vampire Killer with a Mournful Blade, the Exemplar Redeemer. I've got a Druid with Bane Chant, Surge, and Heal with the Conjurer's Staff. And a Unicorn. I've thrown away the heal for Lightning Bolt 5 and added in the Boomstick. It also has the Inspiring and Pathfinder, so it gives me some control. And of course, CS1 and TC1 allows me to flank with it. I guess I'm pretending this is my bail for my.
Cool. All right, and that comes in at 21 unit strength and 14 drops, so just one more drop than Antonio's list and just a couple less unit strength. That's pretty close. It's pretty closely evenly matched there in terms of unit strength. All right, great. Thanks, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring up your UB room now, and we can check out the battlefield. Okay, so for this match, for this round, the map is kind of interesting. There's a lot of obstacles, and people seem to have varying opinions of how to treat this particular building down here. Did you guys talk about how you wanted to play the walled-in area in front of the building?
Yeah, so I played with it as it looks. So it's a walled-in area, and of course it's difficult terrain on the inside, and then of course there's a wall there, or a building that's down below it.
Okay. And for the obstacles, there's a lot of them, and they're kind of wide. Are you guys counting like all the horses and bones and spikes and things as part of the obstacles, or
just the perpendicular line?
Just the actual line. Okay.
Yeah, just the line. Yeah, none of the spikes. Yeah.
Yep. And so just the spines in there. Okay. That's cool. All right. And then you guys are using the red tokens for the objective markers, it looks like.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Then let's go ahead and talk about your deployments. Mike, you're up here on the top. Could you talk us through your deployment, starting over here on the left with your ensnarer horde?
So that's my unit of horde of ensnare. So I'm right next to that wall that's in front of them and the building. It just makes a really good hold for that token that's there. So it's going to take quite a bit, way more than its point cost, to break that unit. So we're looking to see how he deals with that. So right near him, I've got my unicorn, and it flies. It's also a scoring unit, so I'm going to use that as a little bit of a control piece there, see what I need to threaten and hold. And then, of course, it shoots lightning bolt 8. I've got my 4 heart piercers there, and in between the 2, I have one of my characters. That's the Redeemer with the Morning Blade. And then I follow up with both water elementals. I've got them in different angles to decide on how I want to handle them. They can't march, but I do have Surge 4, so I can make some changes if I need to. Want it to be flexible in deployment. Right in front of them is the woodland critters. They fly, and so they have Pathfinder, so I should be able to control this wood bouquet, but he doesn't have a lot really to worry about in the woods. So I get to control that, and we'll see how that goes toward the end of the game. Just about all the games that I've played for Rays, it seems to be a fight over that center token. So I needed to play more central in this game, and then I'm just going to try to shoot up everything I can and see if I can hold him down. On the right-hand side, I've got the Brotherhood. So I'm really just going to keep that dragon in check. So I followed that up with the, if you guys can see on that, that's the Beast of Nature that's right there. And right next to that is my Pegasus. That's going to be like my gargoyle unit. So we'll see how he decides to handle that.
All right, cool. All right, and then Antonio, if you could walk us through your deployment, starting over here on the far left with your Wraith Regiment with Sharpness.
Yeah. So going from the left to the right. So these are the I decided to deploy most of my units on the left side. I control these two on the top. So I have the rights with the vampire on horse and the other vampires right on the left side in front of the snare. The snare. Then I have the necromancer with fighting. That's close to them first. And then 2 groups of revenants that are in forest. And they are something they can move. Only 8. Then I have the vampire just behind one of them. And then I have the other necromancer out of forest to move at the beginning more than 5. I don't need the range. Then I have the right behind then they have the spider and the fly. Not those two. Then the other group, the other group that is close to them, and then the zombies that are behind that could be quite important to control the loot. On the right side, I have the Orb of Revenants and the Wheat.
Okay, great. right, thanks, guys. I think that's it. I think we don't have any questions. Good luck to both of you. Did you guys already roll for first turn?
Yeah, I go first.
Okay. You're gonna go first. Okay, cool. All right. Well, good luck, guys. We're gonna look over your shoulders here while you play, and we'll see you back at the end of your game.
Thank you, Matt.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna bring up their clock. And start the banner. All right. So we were kind of watching these guys deploy and talking about their what we guess their strategies are based on where they put the tokens. Luis, what are you expecting to see Antonio do here, given where he's put his tokens that he's going for and the way he's deployed his stuff?
He's going to go fast on the left to get those tokens and turn to the center and try to block Mike from getting the 2 tokens on the right with the Wyrm and the Remnant Hordes. I think that's Antonio's play.
Do you think he's even going to try to go all the way down the flank with his Rev King and grab that 1 token all the way over on the right, or is that just something he's threatening him with to make him keep something back?
I don't know, because he has some flying units. If I were him, I was most concerned to pin down the Brotherhood Regiment with the Wyrm or try to threaten him so doesn't advance fast. I don't know, but if he has the chance, why not? But Mike has is the Pegasus there and the Beast to stop the Wyrm down. So I don't know. I think the key for Mike is if he can hold Antonio with his Heart Pierces and the Water Elements, but I don't know.
Yeah, on that right-hand side, there is the objective in the top right and the objective in the bottom right that both sets of flyers could look at pouncing on and raising. And might just be a trade. If you know the dragon goes up and sits on one, you can contest it with one of your flyers and grab the other. Maybe it's just I don't know. That sort of whole open area over there with objectives open is going to be tricky.
And Matt, what do you think about how Mike's deployed his Brotherhood guys up top here? You're on mute.
Thank you. Been funky. I definitely like Mike's position on the right-hand side better, just because he does have a chance to go forward and burn that token with his 2 flyers to the 1 flyer. If he can get, well, I mean, I guess it depends on how far forward that Rev Cav or that Revenant infantry regiment walks forward. If Antonio positions it correctly, he should be able to basically block both of those from getting taken. And then he just parks the Revenant regiment there the entire game and doesn't move. And then at that point, the issue here with Mike's list is he doesn't really want to move forward all that much. He's really counting on these water elementals and the Brotherhood regiment to basically do all the legwork for his list. Mm-hmm. Like those are kind of his kill units. And first he's got to get himself unstuck from deployment. I don't like the fact that one of the water elemental units ended up kind of behind and awkwardly facing. So he's going to have to unscramble his deployment in the center fast and then try to get that to turn realistically the right side or the left side of the board here as fast as possible.
Yeah, so whenever I see sort of parking jammed like a concert or a sports event emptying out of the parking lot deployment, I sort of look at like they had a plan when they did that, hopefully. And it's like, how can the other player disrupt that plan while they are trying to get unstuck? Like, he probably wants to move one piece forward and then the other slots in right behind it. And he's got this whole puzzle in his mind of how that's going to unscrew itself over 1 or 2 turns. So what can you threaten that suddenly doesn't allow him to unscrew himself? And go on.
Yeah. First turn is huge here for Antonio because of what you're saying. Like literally, that gives him such a big edge with all these RevCap troops and the faster elements of his army. Because now, if Mike basically walks his water elementals forward at all, then the RevCap troops can just jam into whatever they want and keep his whole line pinned behind his own Naiad pea shooters.
Yeah, there's
And-
like, I don't know if it'll work out this way, but there's like this super highway he's setting up where he gets cover from the shooting with the hill.
Yeah.
He then gets to go on the hill, run down it through this little highway between the obstacle and the building, and just ram into whatever is there. And sadly, what's there right now does not want to get rammed into.
Yeah.
Like it's the old Napoleon water slide straight into his lines here. So
Yeah.
hopefully he planned something for that, because it just seems like a really obvious way into his battle line.
I mean, the nice thing about what Mike does have going for him is like, so in theory, let's say he can hold up, because especially with the terrain, in theory, trying to charge in all those ensnare units in the middle of difficult terrain, nothing's going to die there. And then in theory, he has all these surgical water elementals, one of which has +1 speed, so it's deceptively fast. And then he gets all these surge flanks off, and then bad stuff happens. The problem with that strategy is that then Antonio takes both of those tokens and just backs away and doesn't even care.
And that's the thing I'm sort of, it's sort of hard to say like turn one I'm already worried for, because there's Kings of War always shifts back and forth between the person whose turn it is looks great.
Right.
Because you're imagining all these possibilities. But for sure, if he can just push on that side, throw away his RevCav, even just like slam his RevCav into everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Raise those tokens, and then you're stuck trying to counterattack into a vampire like buzzsaws and whites who are happy to just sort of make a battle line and fight you head on, and that's not a good fight. So there's a tricky thing with the ensnares, though. Like, what part are they going to play?
Right. I was going to say, I mean, those water elementals will not work if he has to fight face to face. Bad things will happen to Mike's list if he has to fight vampire infantry and whites in a straight up fight.
Okay, so the Redeemer and the Vampire are still out of 16 of one another. 6, 9, 10.
The epic good versus evil fight for the ages.
Mirror match, yeah. That's the fight that we want to see. And if it doesn't happen, we'll be disappointed.
Versus the fight I didn't want to see, which I'm hoping not to happen, which is Wraiths on ensnares for 5 turns of wet pool noodle fighting.
Yeah. Oh man. I know you did say that like Kings is a swingy game, but I will say most games tend to be decided within the first 3 turns. And then turn 4 is kind of that like maybe you pull something out of a hat and you miraculously turn it around, but like that is basically the last recovery turn. If you're in turn 5 and you're like, I'm down, you are now playing, you are just trying to salvage the loss as best you can at that point.
Yeah, it's a movement and peace trading game.
Right.
So if you get in a bad position, you can recover. That's why it's a good game. Like if it was decided in turn 1 and 2 every time, we probably wouldn't all still be obsessed with it. But it is definitely a piece trading game, and when you give away pieces or lose pieces to things of less value or less strategic position, you find yourself with a lot less choices later in the game. And that's the trick. So I definitely feel Mike's right. Antonio's left. I would much rather be on the undead side in that side of the board. So then the question is, what's going on Mike's left flank that maybe can help balance that, if anything?
Because
Like
it is
Mike's
important to
facing
remember
left?
that the side where he has the 2 tokens to go after. Yeah, because this is raise, and it is all about burning those tokens. And all you have to do is burn the tokens for you just have to have more unit strength within 3 inches for 1 turn and burn
One
them.
turn.
And it doesn't matter how much stuff they kill or how long they sit on them or whatever.
Yeah.
So
And that just makes it super rough.
It does, yeah. Like Mike can over here on the right side, swoop in, snipe out those revenants with Cav and a beast, and burn both those tokens, and that he's evened up with whatever Antonio's doing over on the other side of the table.
You know what? I think that's his play. I actually think that's what Mike should do. Is Mike just says screw it and abandons the 2 tokens at the top left, because he just doesn't win that. I just don't see how he prevents those tokens being picked up. With like Antonio can just whenever he wants, he can walk forward and out unit strength and grab them. Those are his tokens.
Yep. I think he's about to surge the wraiths forward.
Yeah,
for 2 more inches.
If he set it up right, I think he's actually got it so they're butt to butt with the vampires. So they go for it exactly 1 inch.
Yep.
That is a good surge trick for anyone watching. Yep. You can limit how far forward you go if you just angle just a tiny little bit so you clip your own stuff.
And the wraiths fly, so you don't have to worry about them getting stuck behind the soul reavers. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, I think if you're Mike in this situation, you're looking at the right hand of the board, and I think you just abandon those 2 and you take your water elementals and use that forest for line of sight blocking, and then you just come down on that Revenant Horde as hard and fast as you can.
All right, and there's another surge roll to get the RevCav troop up onto the hill so that it can see everything and get a +1 Thunderous. Next turn.
So they were out of range of the Heart Pierces. Now they are in range.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. Hello, obvious target.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah,
again,
so I have a. Go on.
I was going to say, if he shoots RevCav, that's still good for Antonio, though, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And then
moving on to bottom of turn 1. So what does Mike need to do this turn?
Yeah. So what I'm looking at is I try and give people the benefit of the doubt because I'm not that smart, and most Kings of War players are. If we're saying Mike can make it all about this fight on the right and maybe the center, maybe that's the plan all along, and the Heart Piercers and the Ensnarers are one big dummy play to sort of suck the army in, and then he's going to move everything he can into these woods and just try and contest that center one at the end from a position of power, where it does the classic, like you win one flank, I win the other, and we meet in the middle going horizontally across the long side of the board.
Yeah.
I just still think even when that happens, if the end game is to have a straight up fight at the end with your most powerful stuff against his powerful stuff, that hurts when it's against undead.
Yeah, because the danger with that is, I mean, you're looking at essentially that turns the game into who owns the center on turn 6, which is a good strategy. That's you only need to win by 1. There are multiple dangers with that for Mike. One, you've got his flyer on the right will grind out both of those nature flyers in a longer fight. And that's dangerous because if Antonio can just sneak that 1 token on the right through and burn it, then it doesn't matter who owns the center at that point. Then he's playing for a draw. Because I just don't see, there's no way Mike gets that token on the bottom left unless like Antonio just completely abandons it and one of his flyers gets like a March 20 and just snakes it.
Yeah.
That's like a turn 6 or 7 play.
Do we think if we think the vampires on the far left are going to go up and buzzsaw these ensnarers, do we think that's what they're doing?
I think because Antonio's play is to get both of those tokens, I think that ends up being the play.
So are they ever coming back from that? I mean, I know they're going to win eventually, but like, are they going to have an effect on the rest of the game? I know vampires are quick. They're faster than we sort of think, but...
Well, So, well, with the new FAQ, the answer is no. With the old way where you could pivot a regiment and just walk him away, he probably could potentially get out of that little cubby. But because effectively he doesn't actually need to kill the ensnares, right? He just needs to pick up that token.
Yeah,
right.
And he only needs one more unit strength to do that.
So is it the wraiths go in, the vampires walk up and clip the token,
just to pick it up,
and the
And
wraiths
peace out.
pool noodle fight the ensnares for the rest of the game, and the vampires make a hard right and go actually fight.
Yeah. I think the vampires going into there is the wrong decision if they actually just straight up charge it, because I don't think he'll be hindered, ensnared. Like the first turn, he's going to do like 7 wounds to a 21 nerve unit
with regen.
With regen.
With regen, what, 4 up?
Yeah,
Yes.
4 up.
Yeah, with 4 up. And then the next turn, he'll do a little bit more wounds than that, but he still probably doesn't pop it until the 3rd turn of combat, even with Soul Reaver infantry, and that's not a common feat.
Yeah. So the real question is, why does everyone in Spain play undead?
Is not. Antonio is regular play of undead, and I'm a regular play of undead. But I don't think, at least the ones who are playing UV are because there's 12 of us, and I think only Antonio and me are regular undead players. Because, or that's the long answer. The short answer is because undead are OP.
So only the smart ones are playing undead, is what you're saying.
Right. And is this a pretty standard list for Antonio? Like, is this normally the sort of thing you would expect to see from him?
Yes, is kind of the regular thing he's playing. Last Call to Arm, he used to play a Shootilis with 3 Balefires and 2 Lich Kings with Lightning Ball and Blizzard, and even a Vampire on Pegasus with Lightning Ball and a Boomstick. But yeah, it's White, Soul Reavers, Redcav, Wyrms, and a couple of infantry hordes will be quite useful for Antonio. He tweaks it a little bit, but it's
Yeah, it seems like a pretty on meta undead list, except maybe for like the Remnant Horde. You don't see those quite as often anymore.
I know we were saying that earlier, but like also it's still a good unit.
Oh yeah, it's still great.
It's undead. That's the great thing about undead. Is that you can sort of say, I want to build an all combat list and it will be great. Or you're like, I want to go a shooting angle and it will still be good. It's got a few different archetypes, depending where you put your power picks. So
a lot of good variety. I do not like this. Do not like this one bit from Mike here.
He's doubling down on that side.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're in position, so if he moves things forward to try to get the tokens, like they can come in on a flank. Maybe he's just trying to slow him down with that threat.
Which water elemental horde is the one that went to the right? Is that the +1 crush?
The furthest right one.
Or wait, none of them have +1 crush.
This one's got haste, and this one has sharpness.
Oh, he sent the Brotherhood to the. Okay, I see.
Yeah, the knights are over here. And there's the druid hiding back there. And he's got the hasty one there, and the sharp one up there.
That's still a tall order to ask those knights to chew through a Revenant Horde in enough time to actually pick up both of the tokens.
Yeah, and well, he's also got the Beast of Nature over there. And so it kind of comes down to like, do you send the Rev King up? Because it looks like he's left the token open. He hasn't actually put the Pegasus within 3.
He hasn't moved on to shooting yet, so there's time to fix that.
There is, but that
he does need
could
to
be,
fix that.
Right, like that could be kind of an interesting, like, come burn the token, and then I'm going to double charge your horde. Or stop me, and you don't get that 1 point, and we keep delaying, and maybe I run over and start bringing in other stuff against the revs on the bottom anyway. I don't know.
Maybe he's hoping to bait the king into the knights, which I think the king just says, screw it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no reason to. He can literally just keep those revenants parked.
Yeah.
And he's doing exactly what he needs to do. He does not have to move on that side of the table.
Yeah, and I mean, this is sort of where kings can get really interesting. Is when you have sort of isolated situations like this. That side of the
Right.
board has made its own battle. You
Yeah.
have a Rev King and a horde of Revenants against two smaller flyers and knights, and it's just this little chess match with those pieces.
Right.
And I think, I don't know, I mean, if the ultimate goal is to eliminate, I just think a double charge from like Revenants and the flyer could actually pop the knights. If he lets that happen, he's positioned now to block it, but if he ever lets that happen, it's could be scary.
Yeah. It looks like he might not quite be able to get within 3 of both tokens with the Revenant Horde, though. He's currently not actually within 3 of either of them. He'll have to move up a little bit more, and then I think he'll be able to get it.
Yeah, if he moves forwards and pivots, that'll give him that extra length, basically, because it effectively the corner to corner is longer than the side to side by about an inch or two.
Situations like this was the only time I really liked my 250 mil wide orc hordes.
Yep.
So you could legit just sit controlling 2 objectives in the middle of them and say what up.
Yeah. Now that water elemental horde
Which
on
one?
the right hand side one. That is the +1 speed one. Okay. And how much surge does he have? All total?
Just the druid, I think. So what, 6?
It's just the druid? Okay. I mean,
so.
that's still though, like.
Oh yeah, surge 4. That's a bunch of 1-inch surges.
Yep.
I mean, it's not a lot, but that unit is I mean, again, 8 inches is deceptively fast for a unit that is a large infantry profile. Most people are going to look at that and be like, "Oh, it's 6 inches, like it's not turning and going anywhere fast." But 8 inches is a chunk.
Cav speed. Yeah, it's cav speed with Strider.
Right. So I know Brenton was just talking about how we've effectively divided into these 2 separate games, right, where you've got the right and the left. But there's a part of me that's like, if Antonio treats it like that too much, what can happen is those water elementals are going to turn, move 8 inches, and surge through that forest in a heartbeat, and they have the speed to possibly do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very easy that he could bring that piece to bear at any time.
Yeah, which is why I think it's sort of Antonio playing a defensive game here.
Yeah.
And sort of saying, no, you have to come to me. I have the threat.
Yeah.
If you commit too much, I can jump over and take that token and be in a better position. Like if I'm able to get that token on that side, you're never getting mine on my defensive side. So it's a positive trade for me of those forces. I mean, so I think it helps him being defensive, and the fact that those elementals could just pivot and come help
and water.
Only reinforces that. Like, don't be stupid with the revenants.
If anything, I mean, I still wish Mike had been a little bit more centralized with those water elementals in terms of their positioning.
He has moved on to shooting and not actually left any units of his within 3 inches of the token.
Wow.
That's a mistake.
I hope he's not confused about how this scenario works.
Yeah, because now he can literally just push the revs up.
Score 3 points on turn 2.
Yeah, he's just going to jump the Rev King forward. I mean, that's what I would do, is just take the token. The Rev King can die at that point. It doesn't matter.
And just turn everything into the center.
Yeah.
Because now all you actually have to do, if he takes those 2, if he takes all 3 on his side, all you're really trying to do is guard bottom left and middle.
Yeah.
That's it. So you no longer even care about anything else. You're just making a battle line to guard bottom left and middle. And maybe that was the plan for Mike to fight that out. That again seems like a straight up head on fight, and against Soul Reaver infantry, that's exactly what they want. Just point at something and kill something.
And interestingly here, he's shooting at the Rev Cav troop that is the one that's in charge range of the hasty water elementals. I would have expected him to shoot it one further over.
He's
Yes.
just trying to finish something.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's fair. He did put his Redeemer into the RevCap
Range
troop
of
on the hill.
vampire.
In range of the
Yeah.
vampire, yeah. Not sure that
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't like that either for multiple reasons, because you could also, these whites in the center could be easily surged into that if they need to. Like, it's not like yeah, you slowed a troop of Revenant cav down. Great. Like,
Actually, he put shots into multiple RevCav units.
that is the wrong thing to do against that type of unit. You just want to make sure they go away. You cannot spread out the damage.
That's 14, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so even 6 on them is a...
That is no surefire thing there.
That is a lot of hits from Lightning Bolt, though.
Yep.
Yeah, the thing we do have to remember is Mike did bring a lot of guns.
Yeah.
This is an army that does want to sit there and just shoot people. So
I think he's still gonna regret not putting units in range of those objectives. I think it's one of
Yeah.
those critical mistakes that you don't think about it, and then he's doomed your game, maybe.
Well, he also didn't move the ensnarers up either.
Right, exactly. He left them all back.
Like, I just, because like, let's say, yeah, he's not gonna. He might pop that one though. It's out of range. Yeah. Okay, so he does get one.
Nice.
Yeah, but like this Revenant troop, he just walks it forward and surges it and gets the token. Like he doesn't have to win this side. He just needs to keep the shooters occupied.
Yep. And here's the Redeemer on the RevCap troop on the hill. 4 hits because he's hindered coming out of the forest, and 3 wounds.
Yep.
And an 11. That would get him. So it's a reroll, but only a 5 on the reroll, so he doesn't actually pop them.
Yeah.
Which would have been really impressive if he popped them in one turn.
I mean, because I just like drama. And I would hate this if I was actually playing the game, but purely for drama, I would have loved if he had just popped that unit and just totally unexpectedly.
I mean, I don't know that you want to pop that unit, because then that Soul Reaver infantry regiment that's a little further down is just like, ooh, I get a speed boost and I get to kill a character while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the vampire maybe is going to block this nearest, because I don't think the rights are in range.
Yeah, the vampire has a lot of options this turn.
I feel like he was sort of counting on the ensnares to move up. And when they didn't, it was like, oh, well, never mind.
Huh. Well, now what?
Yeah.
I thought you would come towards me, and now you're not in charge range.
Armed only with confusion.
I can understand maybe the hard pierces to go back, because maybe you want to get out of range of the cavalry and get an extra turn of shootings, but I don't understand the snares not coming to defend the objective, because that's their only role here.
Yeah.
If that token is taken, the presence there is pointless.
I mean, it does make it harder. I mean, had he not popped the other RevCav unit, this center one actually doesn't have any charges, I don't think, outside of the character. Yeah, it's just out of everything at that point.
Yes.
Which gives him another round of shooting.
Do you just move it forward and surge it? And
I mean, that's what I think you do to try to get that token, just to guarantee it. Because then it's like, I mean, Mike got another turn of shooting, which is good for that long term trying to grab the center one. If he gets more turns of shooting, that's less stuff he like. We talk about those Soul Reaver infantry, like, oh, those are the things you want at that last turn scrap in the middle, you know, because they just blend through everything. But if there's nothing in front of them, you know, if there's no delivery system anymore, and he picks 1 or 2 of those up, then suddenly it's looking a lot better for Mike.
Yep.
So I actually don't mind that play that much. I think Mike has written off those 2 tokens, which is the right way to approach it. I would have still moved the ensnarers for it. I don't understand. There was no reason to leave them back, but my issue is still that he still has to get those 2 on the bottom right.
Yeah. So, I mean, was this just a brilliant trap by Mike that says, come get these, but you're going to pay with all of my lightning bolt and all of my shooting for it?
Could be.
I mean, we've said, and if you talk to people, that seems to be the way it goes. That raise often comes down for a fight in the middle, and if this is all just a delay tactic to shoot stuff, eyeing that having more unit strength in the middle for that one objective at the end, then maybe it works. Maybe it's I could walk forward and you'll charge me, but then you'll kill me. But instead, I'm going to make you walk forward and then turn or stand in front of me and shoot me, or what? Yeah, I don't know. I've never played this Order of the Green Lady Army before. At least not this style of it. I've dabbled in playing, lots of woodland critters to chaff stuff and water elementals and knights, but I haven't tried out like the heart piercers. Yeah, I made like for fun. I made like a UB army that in my mind was sort of Disney themed because it was like 4 troops of woodland critters, and I just envisioned like the kind of Disney like birds and squirrels that talk and wear clothes, just little packs of those like running around the field with like heroic knights behind them. Who, if you kill their little animal friends, the knights will then come in and slaughter you. Otherwise, they're just hanging out and doing nothing.
Yeah, so
super fun narrative army. Didn't play very well.
I find Mike's army super interesting around that because it's basically like, besides the one woodland critters, he said, I'm not going to actually buy chaff. I'm just going to buy heart piercers, and they're going to stand around and when you think about what chaff is to do, is it's meant to deliver your units, but also just to disrupt and sort of annoy and mess with the other person's battle plan. And this version of that is they just stand there as a body and shoot you. And if you kill them, they're not worth much. And if you don't kill them, they're shooting you.
And there's 4 of them, so you can't just punch one and be done with it.
Yeah. Right. I mean, as far as chaff, but I'm going to kill all your chaff. Yeah. As far as Brother Nature list goes, I just want to point out there is literally only one unit that separates this list from just an identical Forces of Nature list.
Yep.
Yes. There's only one regiment of cavalry for Brotherhood. Yep. That is the extent of what makes this list Brotherhood.
And in my mind, that's not a knight regiment. That's like a bunch of squirrels inside suits of armor on top of horses, like operating them like puppets.
Yeah, like or like Muppet Man. It's just like 3 raccoons on a
Sir Didymus from Labyrinth, just a whole regiment.
It's 3 raccoons on a with a surcoat stacked on top of each other.
Is the Redeemer a mouse mounting a fox in your mind, Mike?
Right. Yep.
See, now I want to make this army.
Yep. See, that's the thing. Anytime anybody plays an Order of the Green Lady army, I start having fun modeling ideas for that kind of stuff. I'm like, that would be fun to paint. Mm-hmm. Totally different from painting undead. Yeah. Bright, happy, 4-color comic kind of style.
Antonio's having some technical difficulties.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that's preventing him from moving the vampires up or something. Because I feel like you just grab that token. The nice thing about this,
he was bouncing around with them earlier. He was trying.
Maybe he was scared about the Mike Grant's text.
Yeah, he's gonna eat the vampire. Is Bane Chance on the other side of the table? Because the unicorn doesn't have Bane Chant, right?
No, the unicorn I thought was lightning bolt only.
Yeah, it's just a billion lightning bolt. Like a whole billion.
Well, Moonbun, I don't play as much as I would like either. I've commentated way more games since this lockdown than I have played, so that's too bad.
Yep. We're here for you. Glad you enjoy it. The system works. Huzzah.
So the benefit of that vampire charging the ensnares, though, is I don't think the ensnares pick up the vampire lord on the counter charge realistically. Like they'll do a couple wounds to it, it'll hurt, but like he should be fine. And then he just leaves. Like he could, in theory, if that unicorn doesn't move, he could charge the unicorn. Leaving the ensnares to twiddle their thumbs and.
Mm-hmm. So you say twiddle their thumbs, but like if he still has units over here, and if the fight is going to be over the middle, those ensnares until the vampires or something else pieces out of there, that's not a unit you want wandering up on your flank. I mean, it's not a hammer by any means, but
Right.
entirely uncontested. Like you have to be student body writing at that point to get away from them.
Right.
Or
So
He could toss
He
the
has-
RevCav troop into it.
sure.
he has stepped
Or just-
aside the rebel troop cav of the hill. What is he charging with? The whites or the vampires?
Probably the
Oh, yeah.
vampires.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's just a free pickup.
Yeah.
Of
You could
course,
do
then
whites.
the vampires are standing on top of a hill saying, "Shoot me."
Yes, they're quite exposed.
Yeah.
Like,
And they waver. You can easily pick up a waiver on them.
That's why I
Yeah.
was asking because
Those are Fury
whites do not waver.
Yeah. But the thing about that is then you're pulling your furthest towards the center hammer unit
Yeah.
all the way over to the hill and letting the water elementals come down and own the middle early game with some chaff in front of them, which is probably not what you want if you're thinking about picking up the center token at the end.
I just worry about those vampires getting blown up next turn. He did
Yeah.
Yeah,
10 damage to
RevCav started out.
to defense 5, and that's
Yeah.
10 damage you could just put on vampires. Like that's
Yep.
not much different.
I don't know what I feel about those guys turning inwards. I think
Yeah, I kind of
I mean,
assumed
if those
that
Rev
they were
Cavs
going to
survive-
hold the ensnarers back for the whole game, and that was a good
Yeah.
enough use for those wraiths.
I think
Because
that
if everything moves to the middle and you don't keep those ensnarers done, yeah, they could sneak in the back, but they can also get that one token that the
The left
zombies
token.
are currently
yeah,
guarding. If you give them a couple of turns, they'll chew through some zombies.
I mean, I think the benefit of the vampires being the target here is that those RevCav are going to be pretty much safe, unless he throws some units at them. At which point he's not putting 10 wounds on vampires. And if you get an opportunity to put 10 shooting wounds on vampires, the answer is you put 10 shooting wounds on vampires every single time.
Every
Yeah,
day.
I mean, he doesn't have great wound removal, right?
It does not look like he has heal. He's relying on
He doesn't have heal.
he's relying on life leech for the most part.
Okay.
But I still think he puts the Rev troop into the ensnarers or in front of the ensnarers, and then that's his answer to that question, because it's going to take 2 turns to blow through a Rev troop even with 3 wounds on it.
Right.
It's no crushing on that unit. In fact, he doesn't have to charge. In fact, it's better for him not to charge the ensnarers and just to position the RevCav to where the ensnarers get hindered on the fence.
Mhm.
And then he might even be able to pull 3 turns, which
Cap them off in that corner, so
Yeah.
you don't get to play Kings of War with that unit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and the only Bane Chant Mike has is on the Druid, which is on the other side of the table.
right.
And
then
and
his
it's-
vampires are free.
and that Druid's going to have a way more important job.
Popping the Revenant Horde. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So
If anything, I think he tries to get both of his necromancers in sight of his RevCav here to try and just surge them all the way up.
so we got spicy move on the right, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. He's flown his Rev King up, landed
Just within
not,
3.
just within 3, and not on the fence since they're just doing
Yeah.
the line there.
Do you
Yep.
think it's like a extremely bold move? Maybe so.
No.
Then he's now in danger. No, but he's in danger of losing the Wyrm, which is the
No.
one who is keeping the revenants from all these 3 units to multi-charge and get those
Nah.
objects.
It's
I
a
don't think so.
hindered. It's a hindered flank charge from whatever that is in the top right.
From a
The
Pegasus,
Pegasus.
with 3 attacks. Yeah. I think that's like a for our viewers at home. People may be like, "Oh my God, he's giving him a flank charge with a monster. Like how crazy is that?" And it's like, this is very calculated.
Yep.
He's got nothing else that can get to that unit. The only thing that can charge it in the flank is a Pegasus with 3 attacks. That's going to be hindered.
Yep. And he'll be looking at the rear of the Beast of Nature and the Knights if they double charge the Revenant Horde down here next turn, which is probably what they're going to do. It's really what they need to do.
In fact, even if he loses flying, if the Knights and the Beast of Nature go into the Revenant Horde, yeah, he'll have a rear on both of them. Like that is perfect positioning for that unit right now.
So I think the Soul Reaver infantry fighting the Redeemer just got Bane chanted.
Yeah, that's for good measure.
Yeah,
And there's a very real chance that peg doesn't even strip flying. I mean,
Yeah.
it should, but it should be about 3 hits with no Thunderous. So 3 hits on 5s. Like
Yeah.
odds you should get it, but every time I've had to roll 3 dice and look for a 5, it's sketchy.
Yeah. Even
So it looks like-
even
looks
if he
like the
maxes wounds.
I
Looks like
don't
the Soul
remember
Reavers
exactly,
did
but I
14
think
wounds.
there's 40% of not doing any wounds with 3 attacks on 3s and no thunders, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
It's not great.
So I think the Soul Reaver infantry did 14 wounds if they have Bane chant to the Redeemer. And he's 13, 15, and then they roll a 4 for the nerve check. That should
I don't-
do it
Be a kill.
because
I don't think we're
No.
seeing that Vampire Redeemer fight, guys.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. We
Well,
saw
I
some
mean, we
vamp-
did see a
some
vampire redeemer
vampires.
fight. It's just the wrong vampires.
Yep. And a
He's
3,
like-
which is still not snakes, so that's going to do it.
My orders were to fight the vampires. I picked the wrong one.
Yeah. If anything, what Mike should do on the right side, and I don't know if he has the movement to pull it off. But if he can get 4 or 5, if he can get all 5 of his unit strength on top of this objective in the very, very bottom right, and just ignore the dragon, I think that's actually what he should do.
Yeah.
Just burn it.
Yeah, just try to burn that. It's just difficult to do that while also dealing with the dragon in your backlines.
Yeah, that's my sort of issue. Is you're now horde in the front, dragon in the rear,
Yeah.
and opting into that position, which can be tough.
Yeah.
Now that you've lost your 3 tokens on the second turn, if you were Mike, you're playing for the win or you're playing for the draw?
Always the win.
Yeah. I don't think he's out of it just yet. It's just he's got his shooting needs to be on point these next couple turns. He needs to pick up enough stuff on the left side. I actually think he loses the right now. With that positioning, he needs to bring those water elementals over. He can't deal with that rev horde with what he has now.
Definitely. But I think it was from the beginning that he had to turn the water elementals.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely think his first turn of movement should have been getting those. Should have just moved into the forest to give them the most options.
Yeah, if they were pointed more north south, they still
Yeah.
have that ability to pivot either way.
Right.
And they still had the ability to threaten the middle,
Right.
especially with Surge. But they would also have a much more flexible path.
Yeah, because
The
we're
other
looking
direction.
at he has surge. Is it 4? Yeah, it's only 4. That's so
Yeah.
risky too. Because he literally can't get it with a pivot currently. If he was more forward, he might have been able to get it. So yeah, I think he needs his shooting to pay dividends here. If he can pick up both the vampire units, maybe he still has to he needs to really quickly smash the left side,
Mhm.
and then turn to the right really fast. And he needs to do that by turn 4, which is going to be really difficult when one of his fighting units is stuck behind 4 of his shooting units.
And
Like-
and the reality is, if he wants to win, he needs that bottom token, bottom left.
Yeah, now he has to. That's
Yeah.
the issue.
And there's a lot of meat. Whites, zombies, and now defense 6 race with sharpness.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's hard for a win. I think a draw is still. Ooh, they're. Sorry. As I am saying this, the water elementals are committing to the left.
To the left. Yeah.
To the left.
Also, and just to make sure he's not doing anything. Okay, good. They are out of 20 of the dragon. That would have
Yes.
been
Oh, yeah.
disgusting.
That would have been hella funny.
Yeah, it's not the best dragon in the world, but like you don't want it to just get free damage.
The
Well,
druid is in
it's-
range though.
It's the flying anvil.
Yeah.
The druid
Yeah.
is in range. That's
I
an
don't-
interesting play.
I don't love it. And well, it depends on where Mike moves his other units. I just like he has a chance to trap and possibly kill a hammer unit here. And remove a lot of threat from this right side, especially now that the water elementals have gone hard.
Yeah.
Because if you end most of the threat to those right tokens, you've won the game.
Yeah.
Like
It just really hurts me that there's this horde of water elementals that is just stuck. It is in the wrong spot. Like that is the perfect spot you want a Soul Reaver regiment, right? Because when you're in a commanding position on the board, not when you're still in your deployment zone. Like that's bad.
Because there is a patience factor, right? Like we all rush to deliver our hammers, but a hammer delivered at turn 5 that gets 2 good charges in can be as good as a hammer delivered at turn 3 that dies after its first charge.
Right.
And I think that's what he's banking on is he just moves up, he blasts everything, and then when we eventually fight, there'll be these untouched water elementals.
Sure.
It's a tough it's risky.
Yeah. It's also tough because like a fresh unit of water elementals is cool, but one of their whole benefits is that they are an excellent grinding unit with the Dash 17 Regen 5. Like it's just they're good for fighting out things against like wraiths, against like I would even argue against whites. They're actually pretty okay.
You got to give them time though to break something.
Right. Yeah. But they're not an uber hammer. They're a good brawly unit. They're not a good I'm gonna just pick a unit and delete it. Even with Bane Chant, I don't think they can do that.
No.
Yeah. They're not really an alpha strike unit. They're a grinding unit.
So like
if you can manage to surge them into somewhere juicy, then sure, great.
Right.
But they're more like a nice solid line troop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're 18 attacks usually on force, 3s with sharpness. So the one that's hitting on 4s, like 18 on 4s, crush 1.
Yeah.
It's just not like I've played with enough earth elementals to know that profile.
And they
doesn't break units to the front. Oh, here they come.
Yeah. This is risky, but I think he has to. I think he's gonna. Well, does he even need to Bane Chant the Knights? He doesn't need to Bane Chant them.
Yes. I know they have the Blue of Strength. No.
Yeah. So he's got Thunder 2, Crush 1. That's enough to get it down to 2s.
It's just going to be number of attacks. It's going to be the problem.
That's 24.
Yeah. He needs to spike his hit roll.
Yep. No inspiring though.
No inspiring.
No. At least they are uninspired, so he can hope for the magic number on the ref roll.
He could try to Bane Chant the Beast of Nature since it's only Crush 2 to get it down to 2s, but that's still only 7 attacks. That he's...
Ooh, that's good. That's good play. I like that.
But he's not charging the dragon.
Right. No, this is a much better move. Yeah, he's trying to keep it because with the height of the hill and the height of the thing, now he actually can block line of sight to the Brotherhood. Yeah. And even though it's a smaller base, just due to weird trigonometry stuff, it ends up making a cone.
Yeah.
So if he can pull that off, that's actually a really good play, I think.
And then maybe he does eat the Druid.
Eat the Pegasus.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
because it's scoring.
Yeah, you either eat the Pegasus or you eat the Beast, because I think he can block line of sight to 1. I don't know that he can block line of sight to both. If he can, that's great.
Yeah.
And
if he can't, then you block the Knights and you leave the Beast open.
Yeah, and then because the Knights will grind out over 2 turns the Revenants. They should, especially with Bane Chant involved.
Yep, and have enough unit strength to snipe the tokens out from under the dragon.
Yeah. I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to block the Druid as well.
or he's just checking to make sure he's got.
So just to catch folks up. Yeah, just to catch folks up. The idea is that if the Pegasus charges the monster, it's not going to do much damage. You're expecting to do maybe one damage.
Right.
You might strip its flying, but it doesn't need to fly. It still moves 10. So if it has line of sight to something, it will still eat it, especially from the rear. And charging in the rear, those Knights would be terrible next turn for it. So instead, he uses the Pegasus as a giant shield. He flies it in front of the dragon's face so that the line of sight of the dragon, because the Pegasus is on the hill and adds the hill's height to its own, it makes a really tall little blocker. And then the dragon can't see the targets and can't charge them.
Yeah.
So it's one of those sort of weird, this is an abstracted game in a real battle, a Pegasus. The way I would envision this is the Pegasus is flying in front of the dragon's face and being a nuisance, and it can't quite do the thing it wanted to do. But in the game,
distracting the dragon, la 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 la.
Basically, yeah. And there is zero chance that charging it in the flank would stop it from rear charging the knights or the beast next turn.
Yep.
That's the key thing there.
He could.
So if the
There's
job of this Pegasus is to protect the other two units, it's doing it the most effective way it can.
Yeah.
The other key thing is that he couldn't one-shot the Revenants, but in 2 turns, it's
2 turns he will.
It's a very good play. That's why I said that is he baiting him to fly with the dragon and take that token so he can take 2 tokens?
Could be a calculated trade.
Yeah.
All right, so shooting. It looks like he's starting with lightning bolt on the Rev Cav instead of the vampires.
Is he within range of the vampires charging next turn? One of them is, but not the rest. I think that's okay. At that point, I think making sure the Rev Cav go away and then picking up the vampires next turn.
Okay, now he's shooting at the vampires.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's looking at a 7 once to pick up the Rev Cav, so that's not too bad.
5 hits. 3 wounds.
What is a 7-1? 60%?
Something like that. I mean, for good measure, I would like to see 1 more wound on them just to make sure they go away. Because, like, man, if they stay, that unit is like, it's going to pick something, and the whole line's going to have to take 1 turn to deal with a unit that is 150 points. It is the worst feeling in the world.
You really expect the lightning bolt 8 to do 2 wounds to defense 5, though, don't you?
Not necessarily. I mean, I guess yes. If we're talking straight up averages, yes. But like, I mean, this is the benefit of shooting is he can kind of pick and choose as he wants.
Yep.
I actually think it's strategically more important to remove the Rev Cav though, because they could jam that water elemental horde in the back.
Yeah.
Next turn by just charging this 3rd unit in the row.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a problem. And like
currently has 6 wounds on the Soul Reavers and only got 2 hits with the last Heart Piercer troop, which converts to 2 wounds. Yeah. That puts him at 8, so he'll need a 7 to waver them.
Yes, that's pretty good.
It's not bad.
And they're not getting healed until they get into combat, so that's good because that means only 1 or 2 more rounds of shooting.
I think that was probably the Bane Chant. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that was a nerve check or the Bane Chant roll.
I would assume the Bane Chant, but I would also he doesn't need the Bane Chant. Both those units are wounding on 2s.
No, I think the Beast is only crushing 2.
It's only crush 2, no Thunder 1?
Yeah, I don't see a Thunder 1 on it anymore.
I mean,
and it came off he just rolled a 10 on the nerve check for, he picks up the Rev Troop.
That was big. That was important.
Yeah.
You needed that.
You needed that one. Yep.
Did he not roll? Oh, I guess that was the nerve on the vampires then.
Yeah.
Okay. So he got a 6, so he did not waver then.
All right, so here's beating up on the vampire. 7 wounds and a 7 rolled is a waiver.
Ooh.
Yeah, but watch him just moonwalk away.
Sure. Yeah, he can still mostly get away. Yeah, like back up and turn and slide backwards.
Yeah.
But he'll have to commit another unit there.
Oh yeah, he commits the Rev Cav troop.
Yeah.
That's the play, I think.
Yeah, I will do that.
The issue is that, I mean, the good thing for Mike is, like I said, if he can do enough shooting to these Soul Reavers, that's going to take a lot of oomph. And then if all that's left
Yeah.
at that point is the water elementals versus one horde of wraiths and one regiment of wraiths and one horde of whites. That's good odds. I think at that point Mike's in a really good
Yeah,
position.
so that's
Isn't the Beast of Nature vicious?
this is the,
Yes.
I think he
It
forgot to roll that one.
Did he
Mhm.
roll just the Beast of Nature's wounds first? Yes, he did.
And I think now,
That's okay.
now that I'm looking at it, I'll bet one of those random 2-die rolls was for the regen on the ensnarers, which he didn't get.
Yeah.
So I
So
thought
I wanna-
Antonio had it very good, but now I've seen Mike's turn, and I think Mike's gonna kind of keep up.
Yeah.
well, here's the situation. All those, if those rev caps say I want to go in and cap off these ensnarers, all he's staring at this line of nobody loser troops, the heart piercers,
Yeah.
that you don't feel good charging.
Right.
No.
He's got hammers. He's only got really hammers left over there.
Yeah.
And they are in range of the heart piercers, staring them down. If they back up, they can start to get cover, but that's just a bad spot to be in. Like I feel like if the plan was to go up, grab tokens, and back off, he grabbed them, but there's nowhere to back off to. You're just standing in the way of this shooting. So
Now, yeah, I think if the Revcav troop had not died, he would be in a much better position because then he jams that right in the center, and then
Yeah.
They did now the region of the snares. They forgot.
Of the ensnarers.
So
It feels-
silly question. Should any unit that can go hard right from Antonio's side?
I think the whites need to.
Yeah.
But you've got the water elementals there to block your way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an option.
I mean,
You got wraiths.
he still has enough hammer units that the water elementals can't just ignore. Like the problem with this Soul Reaver regiment in the center is that it's just dead. It's gonna pick one of the.
Yeah, you have to pick one Naiad, Heart Piercers, and that's it.
Yep. But unfortunately, that's the problem with taking that much shooting penalties and having no chaff left. I think he can still safely move the whites over and fight the water elementals. Because that'll be a grindy fight, but that gives time for these wraiths to get into play.
Yeah.
And then if he's only got the one Soul Reaver regiment, the issue is that, man, if that Revcav troop lived, that is just such a different ball game. That is really the biggest clutch here.
Yeah, but you could expect those to die to the amount of shooting he left them open to.
Yeah, I mean, I will critique Antonio's play here in that his inspiring has been in the wrong place.
The way I look at it is when you have shooting, the worst thing you can do is feed it a couple units at a time.
Right.
Right.
You gotta hit everything.
You gotta fight across the front so that the shooting either has to split targets or it focuses one unit down and then that's it and it's done. He's feeding it sort of. I know they're just RevCav, but they're RevCav that had a purpose.
Right.
And he's feeding him pieces that are important to the overall plan, one at a time. The zombies aren't threatening anything. The wraiths aren't threatening anything. The whites aren't threatening anything. None of those moved up to sort of threaten or engage.
Yeah.
They're just sitting there in the same position they were almost at the start of the game. And that's where it feels like the sort of mistake was. He held back his middle, possibly to respect the shooting, and the shooting just said, "Oh, you fed us these great valuable units on the side. We don't need it."
Maybe Antonio underestimated the Heart Piercer's firepower. Revenant Cavalry are very tough chaff. You have to shoot them a lot to kill them, and maybe say, "Okay, I'll advance and they're gonna live," and then also shootings of force and piercing one, and then the lightning bolt just pop them.
Yeah.
And no party source.
It's a lot of I mean that's really what it comes down to, right? For me, it's the fact that this inspiring necromancer is inspiring things that weren't really in danger, and did not need to worry as much as keeping those troops alive, because those troops jam up this line, they block line of sight to all those shooters. It doesn't matter if they die at that point; it stops an entire turn of shooting. it keeps the water elementals jammed. That gives these guys time to get close enough to actually start picking stuff up. Looking here, his best play is to try and basically block line of sight to the second Soul Reaver regiment, and then just hard right here as much as he can. I do think he needs to surge these whites into the woodland critters and then turn to face. I don't think he can waste another turn.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I think you're
Go aggressive with everything, and then just leave the wraiths or the zombies to prevent that token to be taken by the unicorn.
Yeah, Mike is gonna pick up one of the tokens regardless of what else happens. In the bottom right. Possibly both.
Yeah.
If
Possibly
you don't do
both.
something super drastic.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
either if you
Yes.
protect your bottom left, you're either playing for a draw, giving everything up and protecting the bottom left, or you're trying to string together 2 objectives out of the 4 that are currently on the table. And so it's either you win the middle and one of the far right, or you protect your left and win the middle, right? That's
It is worth noting that with the advantage of getting all 3 of those tokens first, like in theory, all he has to do to play for the draw is hold the bottom left.
yes.
Like that is a pretty big advantage still. Like
But
even if
playing for the draw is for suckers.
sure, right. But like, we get to that turn 4 and we talk about like this is the turn you determine do you have it or are you on damage control?
Yeah.
And I think it'll be interesting. I don't think Antonio has to be like, okay, this is damage control, we play for the draw at this point.
No.
Which is still a really good position to be in if you think about it. Like when your worst case scenario is, oh no, I only got a draw instead of like, a loss, like that's pretty good.
But I do like a charge on the woodland creatures. So
Yeah, because if you don't, then like they are going to win this game by being the only unit left alive with unit strength on that center objective at the end.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of squirrels having a tea party right there in the middle of the field.
I mean, it also just puts his whites into a much better position. It forces the water elementals to come fight the whites because realistically he can't leave that unattended.
Right.
It's a much better spot.
now they're hindered going in, right?
Also,
They got
the
boots.
vampire being out of the game is huge for Mike because he's all to the left, block line of sight by a building, and he's wavered, so he'll have to wait at least another turn if he doesn't get wavered again or killed.
Yeah.
That's big because the vampire will be great for sniping hard pierces.
Yeah.
And not being worried if he's getting flank charged by water elementals or whatever.
Right.
Yep.
So the
question, leeching anything back this turn? Yeah, no, that's a really good result for him over there.
So the whites are hindered going in if they want.
No, they're
Right.
They fly.
They have boots as well.
I'm looking at when they land. Are they going to be a toe in the forest?
Oh
Right,
yeah,
they could just pop their strider boots if they wanted and not.
So that's my question. Is like, are you popping them on the creatures?
To be clear, he can't charge them currently. He has to.
He would have to
surge
surge.
Yeah.
Right.
So at that point, I don't know if he can get to it, but if he can, he should try getting the surge into the flank if at all possible.
Okay.
And if not, then
awfully
yes, I think he does the front and you pop the boots because even though it's only a troop of woodland critters or a regiment of woodland critters, at that point, again, the water elementals cannot ignore them. They have to charge. So then you're countercharging and it's fine.
If you stick there, that's a game breaker.
Yeah.
If you give up those whites for free to a flank from water elementals, you're
right. So you have to make sure that unit goes away.
Yep, and of course you're going to countercharge the Cav with the Revenant Horde down on the side to take away Thunderous.
Looks like he might be countercharging the Beast. Though honestly, I don't think either of those is a bad option because the Bane chant right behind them means that those Cav are still going to do a lot of hurt even if he takes away the Thunderous.
True.
Whereas there's a chance.
You're not going to live this round.
Yeah.
Like,
I think you actually go after the beast. I think there's a better chance to potentially either pick it up or at least waiver it.
What's a nerve on a beast of nature? 15, 17?
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's not headstrong.
16. I don't remember.
They're both defense 5 and they're both 15, 17.
Yeah, but I don't think the beast has headstrong.
It does not.
And in the long run, I think that's actually the scarier piece to leave open. That also keeps it from flying.
Sure.
So
yeah, I mean it's 12 hits with no crush.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, yeah, that he needed the dragon to be able to get the rear to make realistically anything happen to keep that flank alive.
yeah, so the question becomes like, one, I don't know that the dragon pops the Pegasus this round.
Oh no.
Oh, is it to the black or is it to the
I think it's on the
No.
back, but
Oh yeah. He pops the Pegasus. He's on the
Okay,
rear.
that's
Makes
fine.
sense.
That's fine.
I hope he's not trying to surge the wraiths instead of the whites. I think that's bad.
That's way too far.
One, because it's way too far, and two, because he doesn't pick up that unit with the wraiths.
Yeah. And it's only 2 necromancers, so it's only searched 12. He
Right.
would
nah,
need
it's
to get,
impossible.
yeah, it's too far. It's
Yeah.
not even, it's within 12.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Oh, he is going to go for the flank though.
Yeah.
He's got to keep it within 12 of this other necromancer though, so I don't know that he can do that.
Yeah. No, this is super risky
Yeah.
because the water elementals are probably going to see you wherever you land, and they have striders, so they don't care.
Yeah. I would angle this just to get the shortest possible surge distance.
Yeah.
Yeah. This necromancer needed to move farther to the right. And I mean, you didn't really care about inspiring those Soul Reavers because the front unit's going to die anyway.
Right.
Yeah, the necromancer placement has been a little bit
Yeah.
questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's put it up there to inspire the Soul Reavers that are already damaged to hope that they live through a turn of shooting, but like,
And he's going to
I
get
don't
2
know.
wounds back, realistically. So
Yeah,
that
so
helps
he'll
a
have-
little bit.
yeah, he'll have 6 on him, but like, still, that's 24 shots and 8 lightning.
I mean, it's
maybe
fun.
Maybe with the necromancer he did. I'm not going to march, so to move on the double with the necromancer to be able to cast Banesham to the vampires. But sometimes it's better to just run with the necromancer and be in the spot where you inspire when you have to inspire.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's rough. He can't even get to the critters.
and that's the inspiring one, so it doesn't have Bane Chan anyway. That's
Yeah.
the
Just
other one.
back the dragon.
I don't think he could see the whites.
I guess he realizes that he has to abandon the bottom right, and then he tries to just play for the center for the win.
Just go with the win to the back of the. That's
Yeah,
a smart
there you
play
go.
also.
There
I
you
think
go.
that's just this is lost. I'm going to.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
threaten the rear of your hammers. Yeah, sure.
But
Yeah.
I think it's a smart. It's a
I think if he
smart
can't get
play.
the whites, if he couldn't get the whites into the woodland critters, then I think this is good.
Yeah.
yeah,
And that was
you
that,
are.
that was going to be a long surge for one necromancer on 6 dice.
yeah, I don't think the other necromancer could see them.
Yeah. Well, they're tall. They're height
Yeah, but
4,
he has
height 3.
He has a
he
Rev
has
Cav troop in his way.
Rev Cav troop in front of them that are also on the
That are
hill.
on the hill. Yeah.
So
That's
those are height 6.
5 or 6. Yeah,
I mean,
6.
Again, this necromancer should be about 5 inches further closer to his board edge than it is right now.
Yeah.
At least in
And then
my opinion.
my other question down here is, this means the knights are going to have an extra part to play. We're only on turn 3.
Yeah.
They blow them up this turn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right turn. There's no longer any threat behind you. Send the Beast of Nature towards the token or the Pegasus towards the token.
I was
And,
going to say.
Yeah,
and
don't
you're
bother.
back in the battle.
Send
Yeah.
the beast and the cav towards the center. Let the Pegasus spend the next 2 turns picking up the tokens
Yes.
because there's
Yeah.
nothing over there to stop them. And that's a great use of that cheap unit.
That's the reason I don't like the dragon flying that way. Like, I get it. Like, he feels like he needs to shore up the center more than he needs to shore up the right flank. But the benefit of the dragon picking up that Pegasus is, one, it's one less scoring unit. Two, he still makes the beasts and the knights still have to respect that. They can't just ignore a rear charge from even a weak dragon.
And can't the water elementals just turn around and fight it?
He doesn't have enough surge to pull that off. Realistically, he's only got 4 surge.
Okay.
He's looking for little 1-inch. Like,
Yeah.
if you give it to me, you give it to me.
Right.
So I think that's a safe movement for it. It's just, I think these vampires are going to disappear before the water elementals ever have to care about that dragon in the flank or the butt. And realistically, what he can do is he has all these ensnaring heart piercers right on top of this big fence. He could probably turn these water elementals to give the dragon a flank. And the woodland critters, if he can get Bane Chant off of them, I don't think he can move the druid far enough. If he puts them into the whites and makes them not fly,
they do go 12,
or just puts them in
3,
front
6,
of the.
yeah.
He just puts them in front of the water elementals and makes it so the whites can't possibly charge them as the alternative.
Sure.
And then it's like the dragon's in the butt, but there's nothing to charge in the butt.
Yeah, for me, it feels really bad that those knights are going to get to play a further part in this final fight.
Right, exactly. And this is ignoring the fact that on the bottom of his turn, those knights are turning to the left now.
Yeah, and that's just rough. Is that the sort of assumption, the hope you were making is when they went hard this direction that you could stall them out.
Yeah.
So he's trying to surge his remaining RevCav troop forward, probably to be able to threaten whatever he wants next turn, I'm guessing.
What are the zombies doing?
I don't know.
The zombies at this point are just to make sure that one bottom left token can't be picked up.
Yeah.
They feel like terrain.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Looks like we're going to do the Revs back against the Knights. 14 hits on 25 dice. Pretty good for 4s.
Not bad. Gets
only 4 wounds, though.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 wounds is what was expected.
Yeah.
You're just hoping for a stupid roll.
Yeah. If the Knights roll really low, then
a waiver and then fail the
Fail the headstrong. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's still a very optimistic
Yeah.
thing to wait for.
9, 13.
In fact, you know what happens next turn? The Pegasus charges with all 3 of these. That shoves the Knights further to the left, and actually he can pick up that token this turn, so he doesn't even have to slow down. So when he reforms, he should be almost touching the forest at that point.
Yep.
Like that's actually really bad for Antonio.
So here's my question: If Antonio could have foreseen, and this is all very much hindsight, but in that bottom right corner, if he had set them up on the fence, protecting one of the 2 objectives only, or in some way shifted that way, to just give him a chance to survive more turns of fighting, angled on that fence so that if it's a double charge, someone's getting hindered, and try and stick it out. I don't know.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is that the dragon needed to be able to see the combat. I think it would have been better for the dragon if he could have even just gotten a flank, because like he picks up those flank of the dragon plus the rev cab. I think picks up those knights.
Yes.
Or at the very least, almost guarantees a waiver, and they're not inspired, or they wouldn't have been inspired at that time. And then it doesn't matter that the Revenants are only supposed to last 2 turns, because now you're only fighting a beast in nature, and those odds are pretty good that you're going to last all 3.
So it was really the block of the dragon's line of sight that did it.
I think Antonio actually played that flank really well until the dragon went too far forward. I think that there was no need to rush that necessarily, or even if like it looked really good positioning his dragon like that. It's just that one's hard to anticipate that you're not going to get the line of sight. Like the Pegasus move was really good on Mike's part. That was the exact thing he needed to do.
Interesting.
As we're talking, the vampires did pick up the Heart Pierces, surprising no one.
Yeah. Interesting move here.
I guess
Flanking
he's looking to try
Cav.
to. Does he have a flank on those vamps with his water elementals? Does not look like it.
No.
So it would be a front charge. I don't know if I. Well, I mean, I guess he gets out of the flank. Okay, good. There we go.
Harpies is placing the bayonets on their guns and going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the flex. Yeah, I could charge you, bro, but
and I think it's a mistake of Antonio not going more aggressive with the whites and the graves because he has the zombies to protect the token.
I don't like this. I think this is way too aggressive for Mike's position. I think he should just literally just sit there and tilt the Heart Pierces so that anything that wants to charge is hindered, and tilt his water elementals so that the dragon can't get to anything that isn't just a flank, because a flank of a dragon on its own hitting on 4s into water elementals doesn't kill them.
Yeah, because it's I absolutely love the Revenant King on Flying Worm. Don't get me wrong, but it is a flying anvil.
Yeah.
It is much better at surviving than it is at actually putting out high damage. It will consistently drop 3 wounds on anything, but that's most of what it's doing.
Right. And then he just shoots up the vampires some more. Like, I mean, this unicorn charge I'm okay with because like that holds the second regiment back an extra turn. But like I think his Heart Pierces just stand still and just eat the vampire regiment.
Yes. Someone is making a good commentary that they are weak against this multiple shooting units list, and that
sort of MSU style.
I agree. 1 or 2 individuals to hunt down those. That's why it's big that the vampire is out of play.
Yeah.
And that's
give me 2 questions for the end of the game. Did you bait the Wyrm with putting the objective at his range, and did you bait the vampire just backing, not advancing the ensnares? Was on purpose?
I mean, if I'm Mike, I'm going to say, of course.
Of course.
Totally.
It doesn't matter if it was pure luck. I'm going to be like, yeah, I totally saw that Pegasus block move. What game were you all playing?
You know what? In the long run, I know we've talked about a lot of other units here that were kind of in the wrong spots or not handled maybe as well as they could have been. I'm going to take a moment to talk about the Wraiths and that early surge where I was initially being like, oh, look, he positioned it so that he only went an inch forward, and that was to make sure he doesn't overrun. There was no reason for that. There was no reason for him to slow down his surge. He should have just shoved that unit as fast as possible. Because it should not be the Vampire Lord fighting those ensnares. It should be the Wraith Regiment.
Or maybe that was a mistake. He put it and then, oh, shit,
it's touching it. Yeah, maybe that was in fact not intentional. Because I think that unit being in those ensnares and that Vampire Lord being free to do whatever it wants is just a much better game for Antonio at that point.
Yes.
Because it's just rough having a 205-point character getting wavered and then presumably killed next turn by a even cheaper ensnarer horde.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, and I 100% agree with Luis here. Like when I play with one of those guys, the Mounted Vamp Lord, like he is Mr. Fix-It. Like whatever deficiency your list has or whatever problem he's solving, like he's the dude you throw at it. And so having him stuck in a corner hurts. Yeah, I don't like this charge either.
No, I think this is bad. I think he just gave those vampires a chance at life. Like you just don't charge them. Don't stop.
Because
please.
Are they the ones who have the Chalice of Wrath, or the ones with the Staying Stone?
These are the Wrath ones. So like he can't shoot them. Yeah, he should be shooting the absolute living daylight out of these. He should not be giving he's gonna. These are hitting on 5 shooters.
Yes, and he's losing the piercing one, and one is hindered.
Yeah, both would be hindered.
Back it up.
16
Yeah.
attacks on 6s and 5s? What? No.
Yeah.
Stop.
Or stand there and do 4s and 4s.
Yeah, much. Like, he could even walk forward and pivot in front of them. That's fine. Just don't
Yes.
charge them.
Yeah,
Like-
you can be an inch away and still shoot him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot him in the face.
At
Right.
that point, he could pivot this left heart piercer unit to make the vampires hindered and ensnared. And at that point, that's the best chance you have at making sure they don't pop a unit in one go.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have deceptively fighty shooty units, right? Like you have
Sure.
boomers, or you have skulks, or you have something that's like, haha, actually you didn't expect it, and I can charge
Right.
here. Heart
Yes.
piercers are not really that.
No.
Yes.
And
I
at that
always-
point,
I think
Yeah,
he's still trying to unscrew his line.
From deployment.
the story of this game, the water elemental unit that couldn't.
I always remember the Bray Hunters, the centaurs that shoot, and then they charge you, and they, I got Thunderous, and I hit on force, and you, what?
A surprisingly good punchy unit.
Yeah,
And-
the centaurs have surprisingly punchy shooters and surprisingly unpunchy fighters.
Right.
It's like the knight version of them always does worse than I think it would, and the shooters always do better.
Yeah. He needs to shoot this vampire regiment. He cannot charge. Charging it is bad. That literally makes that vampire unit relevant again. Like before it was out of the game, that would bring it right back in. And then I think Antonio takes it handily because then he just blends through the shooters and still has enough to deal with the water elementals afterwards. Stop it. Stop.
Yes, because he's flank charging, and he's getting like
Is he trying to
six
charge
attacks on force with crushing one, or I don't know. And you have lightning ball 8. Just shoot him.
if he walks far enough forward with the heart piercers, can he? Oh, you know what? Maybe he double charges here with the water elementals and the left heart piercers,
So
Could
that's
be.
what I was thinking. I think
and then
he's
just walks the
trying.
other one forward.
He is trying all these shenanigans. I think
Yeah.
to unlock a water elemental charge on that unit.
Right. Ooh.
But like, does that help you? Part of me thinks you just blast it, and then you still have heart piercer standing in front of them as a shield.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing though, is like this is turn 3. Like normally I'd be like, if this were turn 4 or 5, I'd be like, yeah, go for it. Like just do it. You know,
It's
you
turn
need to-
3.
Yeah. This is turn
Matt,
3.
Tomanis just asked you to explain everyone why you should take that question.
Oh God. We briefly touched on this before the game. So Staying Stone, the odds of hitting a waiver are basically you have two numbers, right? If you have a normal nerve value, you've got two gaps. So even in your best circumstance, you're looking for a 7 and a 6, or a 7 or an 8, basically on 2 dice. And the most you can get out of that is like 11 out of 36 to hit it.
Yes.
At your absolutely best odds to get a waiver. Technically, you can say, we'll call it a 12 out of 36, which is a 1 in 3 chance, because you always can do the double 6s.
Yes.
So that's 1 in 3. But if you take the Staying Stone, you effectively remove 6 of those chances. And that's with the best chance of getting a waiver with the best possible combination on 2 dice, which is a 7. You would still remove 6 or 5 of those possibilities, basically. Whereas with Headstrong, you're looking at a 2 out of 3 chance of getting it back after being wavered. So it ends up being, because you've reduced it by almost half effectively, it ends up being just a little bit better, and it's still cheaper. Now, obviously,
By what, 10
double 6
points?
can still screw you, and then Headstrong's a little bit better in that situation, but like, I think it's better to not be wavered in the first place than it is to
I
be
had
wavered
the
and then.
same reasoning. I just did it like Staying Stone is you not being wavered like 50% of the time, and Headstrong is just 2/3. So it's just a 15% you're paying for 10 points you can spend anywhere else.
Yeah. And that's all that math was just explaining it with the best possible chance of needing to waver on exactly a 7. instead of on literally any other number, in which case it goes way in favor of the Staying Stone. Like, God forbid you need an 11.
For me, it's psychological.
Yeah.
I feel like with Headstrong, I spend that entire time worrying about failing that Headstrong result.
Yeah.
and the mental and psychological load of planning for both those worlds, the like pass Headstrong and didn't pass Headstrong, feels really bad. And with Staying Stone, what I generally find, again, entirely psychological. Oh shit, I'm wavered. Oh wait, I have the Staying Stone, and then I'm happy.
Yeah.
And from the fluff point of view, what do you prefer if you're a vampire, to get Dwarven Ale or to get a stupid stone?
All right, so he's putting those water elementals into the Wraith Troop and blocking out the whites with the woodland critters.
I think this is
Maybe not.
Yep.
Just kidding.
yeah.
I
I keep
think
coming back to it, but I think that's
I
way
think
too aggressive.
he could if he does so, he can always back the wraiths and just flank charge the.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like
So is he panicking because there's a dragon behind him?
I think a little bit. I think this is overkill.
Because that oftentimes what happens when a flyer lands in your rear is you just hit the go button.
Yeah.
You hit the everything in button, which is sort of the worst thing you can do sometimes, because now the dragon just picks whichever combat you fluffed or stuck on.
Right.
And has a really easy option to say, like, I wasn't necessarily going to kill someone before if you gave me flanks, but now that you give me a rear to an engaged unit, we're winning that fight.
I mean, see, this is also bad too, because like, even if, let's say, the whites don't disengage into a flank there, he literally has a flank charge with his wraiths for free. And then he just picks up the woodland critters in turns, and I don't think the water elementals pick up wraiths in 2 turns.
Not with Crush 1, no.
Not with Crush 1. They're just
their job is, like, the wraith's job is to get charged by non.
And those aren't even those are the fast water elementals, not the +1 to hit ones. So he's getting 9 hits and then 5. Right. He's going to do 3 wounds. He's going to do 3 wounds.
Yep. That's literally the wraith's job, is to say, like, you're not quite a hammer. You're not quite a hammer. Okay, I can do this all day.
Yeah, I feel like he'd be better off charging the Wraith Troop, but actually not the Wraith Troop, the RevCav Troop. But then he's in the middle of the line and it's got stuff on both sides of him. It's gonna get like there's no good charge starting in the middle there.
I'm just gonna say it right now. All of this is bad. If I will be blunt and say that this is all bad.
We talked about it. We talked about it way at the beginning, which is, if it comes down to a straight up fight, line on line, Mike's line is weaker in a straight up fight.
He's giving him 3 turns.
And the other part for me is, like, you look at the situation about whose position is improving and whose is deteriorating. Right. If it stays the same, who is in a better position next turn and the turn after? If he holds back and just blasts things, he is improving his position. All that he is still exposing to get charged are terrible units that are doing great, but, like, they're not what you care about. Yeah. So he potentially has help coming. So
I mean, I don't think that's potentially. I think he has help coming. It's just he needs to be patient.
So for me, this is a reaction to a dragon in your rear.
Yeah.
But you have a front line. Like, you have heart piercers that can block off all potential charges. You can take the dragon charge and then go from there with Brew of Strength knights coming in to help.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel his position was improving if he concentrated on mitigating the damage the dragon could do and not on hitting the go button.
So if he does so like that, he can still rear charge or whatever the water elementals there.
Yeah. Well, I think he's counting on picking up the Soul Reavers with these water elementals, and I think
they have a Soul Reavers in the front and a dragon in the back. Either situation is bad, and before he had, like, a line of heart piercers blocking the water elementals to be picked.
Yeah. Well, I think it looks like the Pegasus would block off the second Soul Revenant, he's using that like chaff. He could literally just charge the Pegasus into the front of the Soul Reavers if he wanted to chaff it.
But I guess he's hoping to pick up that RevCav Troop, but that's only 3 attacks. That's only 6
I
in the
mean,
flank.
6 wounds. He's got 18 on 3, so he's looking at 12 hits and 6 wounds. So it's like a 5. Like, it's not bad, but like he gets a bad roll there and only wavers them. Then it's a dragon in the butt. And then even if he picks up the Soul Reavers, I mean, then he's losing his Horde of Water Elementals, which Antonio still has more fighting things.
Yeah.
So he can't trade those Water Elementals like that. He needs to basically pick something up and then not lose it.
Mm-hmm.
How is the clock going?
They're fine. I mean, they both got.
Yeah.
They started with 80-minute clocks, so they're still over half their
Half
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, here we go. There we go. Back it up. Back it up.
No. None of that was
Back it up,
good.
guys.
Yeah, he could literally turn everything. So like this Water Elemental Horde, it just needs. It's already putting that dragon in the flank. He backs up those Heart Piercers like an inch. The dragon can't even get to the Water Elementals in the top. This Water Elementals that's right in front of the dragon just literally needs to pivot. That's all he needs to do. Stop it. Stop.
He's really thinking this turn,
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs
Well,
to
it is-
think 2 turns ahead when those knights are to come swinging and just pick a unit, basically.
Mm-hmm. It is turn 3.
And
That
then,
is the
and
turn
then you
when
roll a
stuff
double
happens.
ones and you
That
Yeah.
would be horrible. Oh god, a double 1 right now on those on that Revenant Horde would be.
Yes.
Because like
terrible.
look, think about it though, right? So in 2 turns, those ensnares are going to pick up the vampire this turn, probably. Like, if they don't, it's another waiver, and that's the worst
don't-
case scenario.
Then how many? So they have 25 attacks. That's 12. That's 4 wounds on the vampire. Yeah, maybe yes, maybe not. We're talking on a 6 twice, 50% of picking up this turn.
Sure.
Something
But like, even if he doesn't, oh no, he's still probably wavering it again.
yes, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, if he does pick it up, that means he's got ensnare. Like he runs those forward. There's no reason not to. There's nothing facing them at this point. So he's got an ensnare horde in the butt. He's gonna pick up the revenants this turn, realistically, unless he gets really unlucky. So the Brotherhood are going to be turning to face here in a second. And then it's just like, there's no reason for this massive aggressiveness if you literally think just 2 turns ahead. Like not even one, like maybe even 1 turn ahead, realistically. Like, all this stuff is going to converge. And the Heart Pierces just need to lay down some more fire and just make it so that when it does converge, there's just less pieces left for Antonio.
Yeah. Just stand in the way and shoot until someone kills you.
Yeah, like that dragon looks scary, but it again, it is a hitting on 4s dragon that does not have Pathfinder. You can put it so that it's hitting on 5s in a flank and just laugh and laugh and laugh.
And then the other guy gets 10 5s.
I mean, yeah. So, but I mean, you know, we could say a whole lot about this game if it's just like, what if you know, Mike just double ones both of these really critical pickups this turn, and then Mike is screwed. But I mean, and even that's kind of not necessarily true. If the Knights don't pick up the Revenants on the far right, let's say they roll really low, and he doesn't pick that up this turn, he still probably picks it up the next turn, and he's still in a good commanding position on that side of the board. That's not changing.
Yeah, because the dragon pieced out.
Yeah,
it's now just how fast they win that fight.
right.
Although there is a break. I mean, if he rolls terribly, which he shouldn't, and doesn't pick up the revenants, which he will, they could crack back on that unit and actually break them, which would be hilarious.
I think it's because Mike feels pressure right now to take that bottom left token. I think he realizes that if he doesn't, well, I wouldn't even call it if he doesn't move now. I still think he has a good chance to get it by turn 6. Like, he's going to have just so many turns to get units into combat at that point.
Yeah, like wait for your ensnares to become relevant again. Wait for your knights to be relevant and shoot them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
So Mike Grant is a Southern California player.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know him, I know he's made the West Coast Masters team at least once or twice.
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 He was at San Antonio Masters and middle of nowhere, upstate New York Masters.
Yes.
Um,
the casino in New York.
I would say where it is, but I honestly don't remember.
Me neither.
Yeah, it was in a casino. That's what I remember.
It was at a hotel casino with no town around it, barely, like a gas station and a casino.
I feel like I'm being mean to it. I'm not. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it was awesome. It was a great experience.
When you don't have to leave the hotel ever, it doesn't matter where the hotel is.
Right.
So it was an awesome experience. There was a lot of great times. There's a lot to learn from that Masters and how to host, and they did an excellent job. And it turns out we didn't all give each other COVID. It was something else.
It was something else, yeah.
At least
a different flu, a different game.
Like I came home so sick, or I got really sick after. I didn't come home sick. Some people got it right there, and I swore for months that I had COVID, and then did the antibody test and didn't have it. So I'm like, I guess Masters didn't give us all COVID.
Yep. And Antonio, of course, is a Spanish player, and I think Lewis, you were telling us that he recently won a UB tournament.
Yep. Yeah, he just won a tournament that Emiliano hosted, the military encounter. Emiliano is the one who came second in the So Is Sunny on Panithor, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he just won it with a similar list to this one. And he's from a region of Spain where most of the conquerors came from in the past.
What region is that?
Extremadura.
Okay.
And Antonio won some reputations on the Spanish players because he's a really recent player, and he beat Mario Murillo in a tournament. If you don't know, Mario Murillo is the one who dominated the Spain's tournament scene with Iron Fist during the whole second edition. He won almost every tournament he played, including the last Clash of Kings in the UK.
Okay.
Spanish Brad McKay.
Yeah.
And he won, so he gained some reputation by winning him because he just lost a couple of matches in 3 years.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right.
I've never played Antonio. I know him, but I never played him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Even on UB.
Which means never lost to him. Undefeated against Antonio.
Exactly.
I am also undefeated against both of these players. Having not played either of them.
Right. Looks like he's now moved on to shooting. He's Bane Chanted at Knights, kind of as we expected, and he's throwing Heart Piercer shots into Wraiths. Why not? I guess he's charged everything else, so there's nothing else to shoot at.
You literally have no other targets.
I mean,
silly question. Could he have shot that Necromancer on the hill if he had positioned slightly different?
He could, but it'd be shooting at an individual, so it'd be -1 hit.
Yeah. I don't think he needs to shoot the Necromancer. Like, there's not enough surge opportunity here, realistically.
Right.
Because the way he did finally go into this engagement with these Wraiths, or the Whites, rather, is that the Wraiths could still get a surge, in theory. It's just that I think he's hoping to maybe pick up the Whites, which I hope he's not planning to do that because they shouldn't die here. But again, the Inspiring Necromancer's in the wrong spot.
I think that picks up the Vampire.
Yeah.
That would have been seven wounds on the Vampire and 1 inch forward run.
Yeah.
Which is certainly not as much as Mike hoped to get, but the ensnares are free now.
Yeah. I mean, it's still good because that's a lot of unit strength that has 3 turns to get to that token.
Yeah, and it's a similar, like, that area is no longer safe.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a slower go button, but it is a go button for the undead to say, if you stand here, you will get flank or rear charged if you don't deal with what's in front of you.
Yep.
So,
now, if he picks up these Rev Cav,
4 hits.
Yeah.
Looking for 3s, I think. Oh, that's not good.
Yep.
Only 1 wound.
Looking at it 10 twice. Yeah, I don't like that because that means that these...
Is that the one the Inspiring Necromancer? Yes, he is, no?
He is the inspiring necromancer. Yes.
Yes, that is the inspiring one.
Yeah.
Um,
So it is
So,
10 twice. Oh,
he's
there's
fine.
a 9.
so that means
Maybe
those
that was
have.
maybe that was a reason to shoot that necromancer off.
If
Yeah,
if
maybe.
anything, sure. Yeah.
No, it was a reason to not charge them.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
the
you're
ultimate
really-
lesson here is that there was no reason to charge.
Yeah, he should have shot.
But
You have
'cause now-
you have a unicorn with a boomstick. Just pretend it doesn't have attacks.
yeah.
Right. I
Just
think
in
that's-
your mind, be like, it can't actually fight. It's a war machine.
I do
Just-
think he panics
Yes.
because the dragon.
Just fight to stop a Soul Reaver hitting one of your big units.
Did he only
That's
get
the
2
reason.
fucking wounds?
He
got
did, but I think
2 wounds.
that's still a waiver on a 7 though.
Oh my god.
But they have fury.
But they have
Yeah,
fury
he's so screwed now. Like,
They
Yeah.
just
oh
get
my
to fight
God.
you.
because that's a flank.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, it's not a flank. It's only a counter charge because he can't do a fresh front charge because Fury is only counter charge. So
Oh, you're
there's
right.
that. Thank God.
Right.
But it's still a front charge of Soul Reavers.
All right.
That unit's gone.
Over here to something that he hopes will go better. So here's the knights in the front with Bane Chant. 13 hits is really good. And 6 wounds? No, 8 wounds.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's really bad. And like we were saying, he could have just stood back and shot at those units and gotten rid of them. He didn't need to
Yeah.
commit.
There was no reason.
He would have done more
Why it's-
damage to those
Why
2
it's 8
units.
wounds?
this is-
no,
this
he's
is
picking
the-
on the revenants in the
the-
bottom right, which he
yeah.
looks like he will easily get to snakes. Yeah,
Yep.
snakes. they're
And a
gone.
12 rolled.
Yeah.
Just rub
Not,
it
not
in.
where he needed that.
I love a useless double 1 or a useless double 6.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Like
yeah,
where you're
now,
like, I need an 11 to break, and you roll double 1, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So he
So-
he shuffles the Pegasus over. That may be close enough to just get it. I wouldn't even turn it. I would have just shuffled.
no, don't
Why
turn.
Why not sidestep with the Pegasus?
Yeah.
That's
that's
what we're
what I
all
mean.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he
should.
shuffles, he picks it up this turn. If he
then
turns
can
like this,
fly
now
off.
he has to waste an extra turn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He didn't need to do that.
and then this is just really bad now. like there's no nice way to say that. Like the vampires are gonna pick up the water elementals, or
Oof.
even if they don't, they're just gonna do so much damage.
Whoosh.
3 wounds.
the god of force,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
not looking kindly on this.
Woodland
Well,
critters.
look here, man. Those woodland critters, you underestimate them. They're just gonna do so much damage. They did more
They-
damage than the water elementals.
They did just as much damage as the water elemental. I tell you, man, woodland critters. I'm all about them.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
see that.
Angry
They're-
rabbits at ears.
It's not good odds there, and that's the problem. So what's going to happen is the RevCav troop is going to charge one of the 2 heart piercers and just get out of the way. Probably the flank of the one that gave him a flank for some reason. Just on top of all the other things that I disagree with this turn. The vampires countercharge because they can. They slide all the way in the difficult terrain, which is actually not a bad thing in this situation. For good measure, I think he puts the dragon into the flank. I think Mike gets tabled this turn. Like that's how bad this is. Like this
Well,
dragon's
The
gonna
knights
flank.
are safe.
Yeah, his stuff on the right safe. Woo! Like the rest of his army's gone. Like this dragon has a rear on the water elementals that charge the whites, which he doesn't even need because they're whites, and he's got them, and this Wraith regiment can just sidestep and he'll be in his flank and he can surge into the flank.
Yeah, so I
Like-
mean,
This is just all bad.
it's sort of silly to go into that, but like he does have some choices to make on how good he wants to do this turn, Antonio, right? What I'm seeing is you can pick up both water elementals easily.
Yeah.
Do you put the dragon into the back of the top water elementals with the soul reavers, and then you count on the RevCav can go kill heart piercers or countercharge or do something, but you just clear the way for the race to sidestep and flank charge the other water elementals, so that you've removed both of those from the board and are still in good positions? Or is there something you do that's trickier than I can think of because of my...
So he moves this Necromancer at the bottom into position to Bane Chant the Soul Reavers at the top if he can. I don't know if he's got the speed and reach for that, but if he can, that's what you do, because that gets them wounding on 2s at that point, and then he doesn't need any help killing the Water Elementals.
Okay.
And then the Wraiths and these Whites should be able to pick up the Water Elementals directly in front of him.
Mhm.
He can countercharge right now so that he doesn't shuffle over too much, which makes it easier for the Wraiths to shuffle to the side and then surge. And then those Water Elementals are pretty much dead. The zombies at this point are the only thing that doesn't really get to move around that much, but oh no. His Vampire Soul Reavers at the top are going to flank the Unicorn. That unit's dead.
Mhm.
Mike
So
basically...
what do you do with your
praying.
Revcav?
He charges the flank of these Naiad Heart Piercers
in the center.
if he can, which I believe he should be able to. And in the worst case scenario, he charges the front of the other Heart Piercers, and they still get out of the way.
Just clear them out.
Yeah. In the absolute worst case scenario here, let's say that he doesn't even want to do funny shenanigans, which it looks like he's just going for the straight up, just make sure it all dies goal, which, that works too. These Wraiths and this Revenant troop can just charge the Water Elementals, just in exactly the same positions they're in. And that's also just really safe, and he should pick them up. Losing both of these Water Elemental hordes is just bad. It hurts. He cannot afford that.
I mean, it felt like he did the smart thing for a bunch of the game, which was don't let anything good fight in mass, and just shoot them one at a time. And incrementally improve. Like the Vampire basically went away for nothing. Gaining almost nothing. The Vampire were extremely damaged and almost went away. Some of the Revcav went away for basically nothing. I mean, they grabbed objectives, so I shouldn't say nothing, but it was a good trade at that point. And then it feels like he did the exact opposite and just threw everything in, and fought across the entire line, which is what you didn't want to do when you have like you said earlier that Water Elementals are great at extended combats. And he put them both into charges where if they did not succeed, the counter charge was going to kill them in one. You can't regen if you're dead.
It's one of those cases where the only reason, and I guess I'll ask him at the end of the game, because if I have to be like, okay, this is your one biggest mistake, is why on earth did you commit on turn 3? Because he just didn't need to. I think he must feel like he's pressured to get to that bottom left and just doesn't have the time if he doesn't go now. But he absolutely has the time. He had 4 turns. Even if he didn't move forward on that turn, he had 3 turns.
Well, the thing for me,
the dragon behind him must have really spooked him and made him feel like he had to flush everything out and get something done before he lost stuff to recharges.
Maybe that just put him on tilt, but that's just really rough. Yeah, here it goes. He's going to try to see if he can get to that flank. I don't think he can quite get it. Yeah,
it's tough. And the thing for me is that there was, I can understand I need to push forward because I'm not gaining anything by waiting, but I still very much felt like it's not like he was delaying and not getting anything for it. He was sticking wounds on valuable units that you do not want to fight. And now by the end of 1-2 more charges, those Soul Reavers are going to be fully healed.
Yeah, that was the issue.
It never happened.
Yeah.
And had he just stayed where he was, shot at those Soul Reavers and wavered them, perfect, because they have Fury. They can't go anywhere, and they bottle up the ones behind them too.
Yep. Yeah. No. There was. I mean, even the only part of his move forward and try to move forward a little bit and make things work that I could kind of agree with was the Water Elementals at the Soul Reavers, but even that was it's just on 3s and 4s, man. It's just not enough. It's 12 hits and 6 wounds. It's not a guaranteed kill, especially with Inspiring involved.
If you're declaring a charge, you don't have to stay an inch away from enemy units.
Oh, did someone ask that in the chat?
Yeah. They just asked why did the Revcav get to disengage and peace out within an inch, and it's because when you peaced out, you're charging. As long as the magic word is I'm charging someone, you can zip as close as you want to other people.
even with the new FAQ, as long as you are declaring a charge, you are
Right.
fine.
You just can't do it with a non-charge, which was the old.
Yeah.
Which was the old thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was the thing that the rules committee, I think, was trying to disallow with that FAQ update.
Yeah. See, like, he's gonna surge the wraiths into the flank because that just guarantees it, or just about guarantees it. Because especially since those ones are sneaky and hit on 3s, like that's 24 attacks on 3s and 4s. It's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
And he can Bane Chant them just to absolutely make sure it goes away if he wants to.
Mhm.
And then the unicorn's gonna die. Like, I don't think that's in question. It's just, I just felt that was really, really, really aggressive. And now, unless Antonio gives him some snakes to play with, this is gonna turn really, really bad. Those Brotherhood Knights are gonna be the what's Ryan's favorite term? The cavalry arriving way too late.
Yeah, and we were looking at them as like, oh, this cavalry is going to have a huge part to play in this game. They're going to arrive. They're going to arrive just at the time the battle lines meet with Antonio's army shot up, and it turns out this cavalry is going to come through that woods and be like, "Hey guys, what happened? Oh god."
Yeah,
oh, god.
here are two basically fresh vampire regiments, some whites that are going to be pretty solid, some wraiths that are going to be solid. Like, there's just not going to be anything that's actually threatening left to help out. Like, I mean, he'll have the 3 heart piercers left at the end of this turn. That's cool. You know,
one is going to be smacked in the face. Yeah, they're not the same now.
What were you going to say, Luis?
That now I was going to tell a joke that somehow if the Naya Snares now managed to kill the vampire, now if somehow the unicorn survives, now the snares kill the vampire and then somehow manage to get rid of that token, we all have to eat that word of why did you put the snares there on the left corner, which are totally out of the game.
Yep.
I don't think the
if
ensnares.
That happens.
I don't think the ensnares being there was necessarily bad.
It's at least originally,
I think it was fine. If the idea was I'm 200 points, if I can entice that many points into a stupid fight, or more, then I win. And like what happened is they ate a vampire and are now, if he had held back, they are a forcing function coming around that side to be scary. If he kills everything in front of him and just turns to face them, they're no longer scary.
Not so. I mean, just by killing the vampire, they have done more than enough.
Yeah. If he manages to not kill the unicorn, and I can't quite tell if that's a flank or a rear. That looks like almost,
flank.
I think it's a rear. By the smidge.
Hard to tell.
No,
so there go the water elementals.
Yeah.
To the Soul Reaver infantry and the rear charge from the Rev King.
Yeah. The ensnares, even if they rear the Soul Reavers, I think the Soul Reavers are fine. It's because he'll be on 5s and 5s.
Probably.
But I just
75 attacks on 5s and 5s. That turns into what, 25 hits and
like 7 wounds.
Like 8 wounds.
7 or 8 wounds.
Yeah. On an inspired unit that has the staying stone, so like your odds of hitting that wave are pretty hard.
But the thing about it is that this undead list basically has 3 units that actually kill stuff for real.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And the whole trick of playing against it is everything else is noise meant to get those 3 units protected into targets and survive so that they can do it again and possibly again, right?
Yeah.
And he had a counter to that in that situation that Antonio had played himself into. His vampires were exposed with no good targets to charge, taking damage every turn, and he opted out of that.
Yes,
and
let them. One vampire almost dead. She just had to throw him a stupid stone, and they were dead.
Yeah,
and now they're back alive.
Yeah.
So
not only back alive, but like they will now be in a commanding position for the rest of the game.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that just feels the good play that got him into that situation. I mean, I'm guessing it's the dragon in the rear. That's what we all think, but just like
it's either the dragon in the rear or the pressure of maybe he can't get to that token by turn 3 or by turn 6.
Yeah.
And in either case, I think that was So like, this just hurts, man.
Sometimes, especially in clock games, that when you put pressure on your opponent, makes him make mistakes. And
Yeah.
I think that happened with the rear, that he just pushed all over, and I think that was very mistake.
And I was saying how that move I didn't like because I thought it was going to be a wasted dragon, and now it's going to cost him the whole game because he's panicking.
Well, certain people panic when there's a dragon in their rear. I pre-panic, like I panic before the game, and so I'm like,
oh, there's a dragon that will be in my rear.
I'm going to bring multiple individuals and play a refused flank and have 3 dragons of my own just in case. And like every list I build, I'm like terrified of opposing flyers for just this situation. So I pre-panic, and then in the game it's fine. But
yes, sometimes maybe it's just ignore the dragon until you have no other choice than not to ignore the dragon.
Yeah, I mean the downside of dragons. I got to play Brian Tucker's 4 dragon list at Masters, and handed that one a fairly sound defeat. And like the problem with dragons is like they sound scary, right? Like a dragon gets you in the flank, like that's a bad time for most units. But like you can't land in terrain. Like terrain shuts down like half of a dragon's attacks. Even on a hitting on 3 dragon, you're going to like 10 hits at best. So most units don't die from 10 wounds. Most units don't, and that's assuming you get all 10 perfectly. No under rolls, like no missing a wound. And once you're committed, you're not flying anywhere for the rest of the game. Like you're in, you're sticking. And so like, that particular game just ended up being a whole like there was terrain everywhere, so it was like you're gonna come into flanks, but like who cares? These units aren't going away, and then your dragon gets eaten and dies.
Yeah. This was Northeast Masters, right?
Yes.
Terrain everywhere.
Terrain everywhere.
Terrain everywhere.
And this was a list that was like 4 dragons and then just a bunch of like zombie hordes, right?
Yeah. When Revenant troops can run into zombie hordes and fight those for several turns, that's a good situation. But like here, this is a dragon that it's only hitting on 4 dragon. Like you put that into a flank, you're getting 7 hits. Like that's a positive number, like 6 or 7 hits, and then 5 or 6 wounds. It's not that scary. And like I sometimes it just takes it, like you just got to take it and be like, what does this actually do to me if it hits me? Because then I think he turns around, like let's say his water elementals were in the center of the board where they were previously, and he lets the dragon get a flank on him. He turns around, he bane chants those water elementals. The dragon either dies or is very close to dead. And
that dragon doesn't die for a while to water elementals.
Yeah. Well, with bane chanted water elementals, I think it'd take 2 turns.
Yeah, it's a flying anvil.
Yeah, because it is a fearless dragon.
It's what 17, 19. It's not fearless.
Dash 18 now.
No, it's dash 18. Yeah.
Okay, dash 18. Yeah.
But still 2 turns. Like I agree with that. But like it's not killing you.
Yeah, and the thing for me is what you are trading for that is you probably pick up those Soul Reaver infantry and have the other ones in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Like that's the trade-off by not hitting the go button is 8 lightning bolt, 4 heart piercers or whatever, 3 heart piercers. You should get them.
So like I mean, he takes the hindered charge on the Soul Reavers here, and like that's expected. But like the woodland critters aren't going to pick up the whites as much as we wish they could, right? They are not the Lorax. They will not speak for the trees.
I wish those woodland creatures would do something amazing right now. Again, just for pure chaos agent.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about like, exciting moments that could quickly flip this game around for Mike here, like what needs to happen, right? So the woodland creatures need to spike out of their mind here and pick up the whites. If he does that,
or the ensnarers. If the ensnarers can spike out of their mind, that's the one you want.
I mean, realistically, they're the one unit that doesn't have to spike too crazy. Like if he spikes a little bit on the ensnares and picks up the vampires, then at that point, I think the wraiths finally turn around and do what they should have done at the very beginning of the game, which is shove themselves into the ensnares and make it so that unit never does anything for the rest of this game.
Yes. And start the real epic fight of this game, which is not the Redeemer versus the Vampire, is the Wraiths versus the Snarers.
Yep.
We've been waiting.
Is an option for Mike just get the Brotherhood Horde there and just feed the other undead army with units so they cannot get to the center?
So,
I mean, I think he's just trying to set up charges for next turn, right? He's just trying to get his stuff close enough so they can get there and hold him in place, keep him from backing up or charging into him this turn or anything like that.
So to add injury to stuff here, the Brotherhood just put themselves in charge range of the dragon.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is exactly what that dragon wants to do.
Right. And that's the Flying Anvil's happiest moment, right? Is a unit that at best will have crushing 2 if he gets the Bane Shan off.
Mm-hmm.
And even then just doesn't have the sheer number of attacks to kill it. And then that gives his whites the turn they need to get rid of the critters.
Yep.
And it's
so here's where these heart piercers pray that they do 1 wound and ground that dragon.
On 6s and 5s, boys.
Yeah.
They're real heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
They need to be, man. That's all he's got.
Big damn heroes.
Oh, it's just so painful. I guess he tries to charge. Does he charge the wraiths with the other heart piercers? Yeah, I guess he's doing that. And then he's praying for a wound there too.
Everything in, because the wraiths would also love to fly up and I don't think they're in range of the knights.
6, 9, 12.
I mean, maybe he thinks if he threatens the wraiths, then they can't just turn around to deal with the ensnarers. And I'm kind of like, but they don't care.
No. If he does that, if he does 1 wound, they will not be able to turn around and search.
Well, he could turn them. He has 2 necromancers. He has.
He can. He can pivot 180 and just search them 4 inches or something like that.
Yeah. And this is assuming the vampires die, which would also be good for Mike at this point. Because if the vampires don't die, then he's still in a very bad spot.
Yep. Mike's making some regen rolls, which means he's probably done with all his moving. He goes ahead and burns that other token with the Pegasus there, so he doesn't forget.
Yeah, that Pegasus could have been up with the other 2 if he had just sidestepped them.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, probably like maybe 3 inches behind, but it's still in the right spot.
And going the right way, yeah.
Yeah.
Better to go into the flank of some zombies and try to pop them so he can pick up that token behind them.
I think if he had a turn 7, the Pegasus, even if he gave him a flank, would not be able, like every single turn and never turn the zombies to face, would not be able to pick up the zombies in time.
Probably not.
I'm just waiting for the zombies to move. I still think they're terrain. They're like the zombies coming out of the churches.
Yes,
right.
They're exactly.
All right, 5 wounds on the Soul Reavers from the ensnarers.
Needing 10 twice.
Yep. Well, 10 once to waver, right? He needed an 11 to waver because he's got the stag stuff.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Right.
He didn't want to see that. That's for sure.
No.
So now the vampires can turn around and do what they do best.
Yep. They're turning on they're turning on their Depeche Mode. They're fixing their makeup. They're getting all their puffy sleeves out and they're ready to go to work.
You know what?
That's the key rule combat here. If he does that wound,
no hits.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, the Brotherhood still had to hold the objective for the draw at the end, and I just think there's enough turns for Antonio's stuff to just blend everything and just.
But they are now out of range of the center, so if he can block them to get.
Yeah. Well, now it's a guaranteed win for Antonio as opposed to like a pretty close chance of a win for him.
Oh, Woodland
Like-
Critters.
The
Going
one
off.
thing that would be like a clever play would be like, oh, the ensnares don't die to the vampires, so he backs up and tries to shuffle them to burn that left token. But
There's a necromancer in the way.
right, but he can just put that necromancer's right there, and nothing's moving.
And that's a good like late game trick to remember when you have these individuals around to be careful where you position them. One, not to give free sort of charges and reforms to hammers, but also just put them on the side of opposing units and force difficult reforms after combat, force like close off last turn shenanigans,
Yep.
Antonio went first, so Mike, can play for a final turn 6 sort of weirdness, or if it gets to a turn 7, you can end up playing that like bottom of turn 7. There's no other turn, so just do stupid moves that get you your short-term objective.
Is this 5? Oh no, yeah, this is 5 because that was his counterplay after the turn 3 charge.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was turn 4. This is turn 5. Okay.
Hey, the zombies moved.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Maybe.
But why?
He needs to shuffle them to the side, but that's all he needs to do. Or do that. Yeah, that works too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get your stupid unit strength within 3 inches of that thing so that the flyers can't land on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't just swoop in and pick up one more.
Are the hordes 2 or 3? I feel like they're 2. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think they're 3.
The horde are 3. Yeah. The regiment is 2. It's one of the only regiments with 2.
Right.
Yeah, but the horde being 3, I think is down 1 as well, right? Shouldn't they be 4 normally if they were real infantry?
Yes.
There's other infantry that I think is only 3 as well.
I think the Legion's unit strength 4 though still.
Yeah.
I think infantry hordes who are so if an infantry regiment is less than 100 points, it's like 1 less unit strength.
Right.
And also shooter regiments are 1 less.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like non-combat. Because I wasn't remembering that, and I was playing a game against dwarves. With ogres, and I'm like, I have a horde in this corner, and they only have a regiment. we're the same unit strength.
Right.
Boo.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Go on.
I mean, there's not much to say here. It's just it's not even fun to predict right now. It's just like, man, like the vampire infantry turns around and blends the ensnares. The other vampire infantry picks a unit and deletes it because there's only 2 things it can charge. Realistically, I think he takes the one that the Rev King is currently fighting. So the Rev King jumps over, fights the Brotherhood.
Yep.
The Soul Reavers into the Heart Piercers, because that then allows them to overrun closer to the center.
Mhm.
The Rev Cav will grind against those other Heart Piercers until the end of the game, but it doesn't even matter. His Wraiths can't fly over these Heart Piercers, but they also hit on 3s.
Yeah, they should crack them.
Is going to be a surprise, all he has to do here, he could Bane Chant them for good measure, but I don't even think he needs to, because I think Heart Piercer's only defense 3.
Yeah, he's hitting on 3s and 2s, so he should be doing about 6-7 damage, depending.
Right.
And that should be. I mean, Heart Piercers, it's a troop. They don't have a lot of nerve.
They're either 8-10 or 9-11.
They're 9-11. So I mean, he should be looking at like a 4 or 5 to break them.
But I mean, the thing is, if he doesn't break them, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Ooh, no! Don't do that.
Don't be weird.
That's unnecessary. Now you're overthinking it.
No, just fight them.
Just blend. Yeah, there's literally no reason. Like, even if the wraiths don't kill them, the whites will pop the woodland critters.
Now, I would say there is something interesting. I don't know if he's trying to do it. I don't think so. It would have been cool. It would have been cool if he could have done a swap.
He guarantees that kill and then turns his wraiths around.
Where he like spins his race around in the first place, and and surges them in. But I think they're not lined up right for that. That would have been funny if they could have just traded opponents.
Which is always something he can still do. The Rev Cap can still do a little shuffle if they want. If he desperately just feels like he has to get the vampires out of there, then he could disengage his Revcav, shuffle them to the right, and then charge the other unit in the flank.
Well, does he crack heart piercers or the ensnares in one turn? I don't think so, right?
I don't think he cracks them in one turn, but I don't think he needs to. I think he's trying to get a second Soul Reaver unit to the center of the board that he doesn't actually need.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. I mean, they'll be ensnared, so they're only going to hit on 4s, but they'll still do 12 hits and 10 wounds.
Right.
So in two turns, they easily pick them up, and
yeah, but then they're on 3 damage.
Right.
If they take 5 again,
right.
They're still on a
which they won't, because now they're getting charged in the front, so they don't have 75 dice to throw at them. Even though they're hitting on 4s, it's still 25 on 4s. So
you're looking at maybe
4s and 5s,
maybe 5 wounds at best.
Yeah,
maybe.
So you're looking at an 8, and then you're looking at a 7. No, an 8 to waver and a 9 twice to kill.
Yeah.
That's why I like Staying Stone. It's so good, man.
Whoa, Dragon. Whoa.
Where are you going?
I think he's, again, this may just be Antonio overthinking it.
Unless he's going to try to get fancy and charge the druid and overrun into the knights or something silly like that.
Yeah, I think maybe he may be worrying too much about this beast, and it's just you can just the beast. It doesn't matter if he picks it up though. That's the thing, because the turn after that, there's wights and wraiths and soul reavers. It's so much stuff that he just can't deal with.
Yep.
If Antonio gets a turn 7, Mike will be tabled.
Except for the Pegasus.
That peg. The druid
except for the peg. The druid in the peg.
The druid
hops on the peg and says, "We're out of here."
Flying away on the peg, peace out. We will tell your stories.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm curious how many of the 13 people in this UB room are also watching the broadcast right now, because it's about the same size audience, I think.
Yeah.
Oh man.
If it's a bunch of totally different people, then that really hurts my feelings, because they could be watching us instead of watching it directly on UB. So whoever you hypothetical people are, you're hurting my feelings. I just want that known. I just want it out there.
Yeah, you can click on that participant list. Now, I love when I'm going through the UB dashboard and I see a CTA name and there's 8 people watching it.
Yeah.
8 names underneath. It's just looky lose.
Well, and that for me is the analog of that very real tournament experience where you finish your game, you turn in your score sheet, your score sheet, you turn around and there's one table that has a whole bunch of people standing around and watching, and you're like, I want to go see what's happening on that table right now.
And my favorite is when that's not even an important game; it's just the last to finish, and you have nothing else to do. So there's suddenly. And nothing helps slow overthinking players a giant audience and late in the round to speed them up.
Or it's just two big personality players laughing and yelling and having fun. So you just want to go over there and hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What table is Jesse Cornwell on? I don't care where it is in the order. I'm just going to go watch him play because it's fun to watch.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he needs to. I mean, maybe he's just worried that the counterpunch will kill it, but it's 16 on 3s, so he's going to get 9 hits, and then even with Bane Chant, he's looking at maybe 6 wounds.
Yeah, I don't know.
And 6 against a -17 shouldn't be scary. Is he?
Yeah.
Is he worried about the beasts of nature's flank charge?
I don't even think the beast has. Does it have Pathfinder?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does. Both those units have Pathfinder, which is all I can figure that's giving Antonio pause here. Because he's put the dragon someplace where they will be hindered if they come after him, whereas if he went into the woods or just got close, then they can charge out.
My concern here, I mean, I guess you could do it either way with the beast, but now it's
maybe he just sees I'm having a Soul Reaver, a Wraiths, and Whites, and I don't need to.
He doesn't need to commit
the dragon in danger.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't need to come fight you in the forest. Come out here and fight me in the open.
I don't need to come to you anymore because your heart piercers are all in combat or dead.
Yeah.
Part of it
I
is
mean,
just
yeah,
he's
even-
like, now you wait for me.
Yeah. The Brotherhood regiment here doesn't have charge range on those Soul Reavers, which is realistically the one thing that he would desperately want to pick up.
Yeah.
I mean, not that that's a good play anyway. Like, there is no good play for Mike here.
Yeah, you can't charge the dragon because you'll stick and then be flanked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could charge the whites if they don't back up out of your charge range. They've already got 4 wounds on them, and you could pick them up
They should back up anyway. It's just to get on that
on the wall.
Terrain.
expose that wall to anyone that charges them.
Right.
Yeah.
Alternatively, with 12 Surge in play and a 7-inch move, let's see here. I think he'd still be just out, so he doesn't have to. Though but he'd have to kill an overrun anyway.
He just sidestepped the Revenant Cavalry troop to prevent the Soul Reavers to be in charge.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
He's doing the conservative play. He's saying,
Yes.
I'm going to line up and make a battle
extremely
line.
Conservative, yeah.
I'm going to line up and make a battle line, and turn 6.
Ooh, hold on. I don't like that. I mean, I guess the ensnarers can't pivot past the rev caps. They have to waste a turn killing them, but that's leaving enough unit strength that if things go poorly, Mike could try and sneak through and nick the token.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can he even land the wraiths there? I mean, he's within an inch and he's not charging.
He should not be able to.
I like how you zoom in. It's like I think they're within an inch, Mike.
I think so.
Yeah,
It looks
no.
like it.
Wait,
He may have forgotten.
wait,
I mean,
let
they
me
may
check.
be discussing it currently. Yeah, because he can't. He can disengage and he can move within an inch, but he has to end clear of an inch, even if he doesn't withdraw.
Right.
So I don't think this is. Well, maybe they just don't know that, but not my place to judge.
There's a really tricky thing here, though. Like, that ensnare horde has more unit strength than the zombie horde.
Yeah.
So head straight up if you try and protect that token with the zombie horde, and they just walk up and fight you, or just walk right up, they can raise that sucker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So with a turn 7, if they just are able to pivot and go that way, they can't right now because of but if they reform and then go,
yeah,
you got to block them off. You just got to be careful and block them off. That's all.
I feel this just got way too conservative, or potentially the opposite. Like this whole trick with the wraiths, which again it shouldn't be legal, but let's assume that they're playing it as that. Like it's an overcommitment to do that, because now he's giving away a rev troop that he didn't need to. He's giving, the Brotherhood with Baneshant behind them could actually pop the Wraith Regiment in one go.
Oh. Yep. Yeah.
Like, because he won't be hindered.
Nope.
Yeah. But I think he kind of of all of his units, he kind of wants the Cav to charge the Wraiths, because then they'll be out in the middle, and then the Dragon and the Whites and one of the Soul Reaver infantry units can all swarm it. And in the middle where he wants his unit strength at the end of turn 6 anyway.
He's leaving stuff alive to complicate the fact. Like those heart piercers that he just skipped, and
he's rear surging.
Okay.
Yeah, he will pick up all 3 heart piercers. It's just I don't feel like he needed to leave the ensnarers. He didn't need to lose a RevCap troop to do all this.
Right.
And he certainly didn't need to leave the ensnarers to where they're just still in play. Like, countercharging them is a safe play. It's going to put a lot of damage on them. He could keep a Necromancer next to them to guarantee that they're not moving. I feel like that was an overcommitment to try to keep the Soul Reavers fresh, and I don't think that's necessary. Because the Brotherhood go into the Dragon and the Beast. Maybe the Beast went into the Soul Reavers at the top to try to keep them from doing anything, but then the Soul Reavers delete the Beast. And then Antonio still has his turn 6 to pick up the center.
Mm-hmm.
There's just too much stuff left on the table that he just doesn't have enough that can block the Whites, the Wraiths, the Soul Reavers, the Dragon, all at the same time to keep him from getting enough unit strength to the center of the table. In fact, I think at this point, Mike's best play is, and I don't know that the Pegasus presumably has Pathfinder.
I think so. Yeah.
How's he
I'll
looking here?
double check.
So he's got the speed.
It
Peg
does.
has Pathfinder, yeah.
So yeah, but the Pegasus is just out of 3 of the center. So what ends up happening here is, I guess he tries to shove his Brotherhood Knights in such a position that Antonio's turn 6, he hits them, kills them, but doesn't overrun with enough unit strength to get to the center.
And then he sits the beast on the token.
Right, and then prays to God there's no turn 7.
Yeah.
I think that's literally his like, maybe miraculously I pull out a draw.
Yeah.
But if I were in his position, I'd just be going for kill points at this point and accept the loss for what it is.
Because for me, that makes sense if they were all coming from one direction.
Right,
But
they're
you're
not.
gonna have the sort of northwest and southwest directions.
Yeah. If that was a horde of knights, then he might just have the sheer width to keep it far enough away.
But it feels like he can commit something to kill those knights, and he can commit something to just bypass them and get to the token.
Right. Yeah.
Like the whites.
I think the Brotherhood just picks a unit and tries to delete it. And frankly, for me, that unit is probably the whites, if anything. It's a Hail Mary chance. Because let's see if he picks up the whites, right? And then pivots.
Mm-hmm.
If he puts his beast into the wraiths can't disengage and pivot.
Mm-hmm.
So they're stuck facing the same direction. That leaves his knights with a flank from zombies and not much else.
Like a hindered flank from zombies.
Right, exactly. And like they're fresh, so, or maybe not. I think there's actually wounds on them that just aren't being shown.
No, they've regened.
Oh, those are the regen knights?
Are they?
On top of everything else?
Aren't they?
I feel like they had wounds on them and there was no heal in this list, but maybe I'm wrong. But
that's not the redemption knights with
right.
regen.
Okay. Then it must
point,
have been the druid casting heal 2 with them every turn? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, he has his knights in a position to where maybe between them and the ensnarers, if the ensnarers just sidestep here instead of walking forward, or even if they just kill the Revcav, and I'm pretty sure they can safely pivot to where the Soul Reaver can't get to them, then he walks forward and actually takes the bottom left token. As crazy as that sounds, which I don't know that Mike will spot all that, and that's still a pretty heavy. I mean, we'd have to check the ranges on things for after the Brotherhood pop the whites.
Yeah. And we're a little bit into the realm of, kick an onside kick, recover it, score an immediate touchdown, kick another.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, those are still some very low odd chances here.
Also, can you zoom in on the whites real quick? Sorry.
There's a fence sticking out.
Yeah.
They would be hindered.
It's a hindered charge on them, which is the thing I wanted to check.
I mean, he could get Bane Chant on them, so he would still be wounding on 2s, but he'd be on 4s with 16 dice, so he's looking at 8 hits and 7 wounds.
But do the whites, all those wounds on the whites?
Yeah. So it's 6. It's 6 on them, and they're -17.
Yeah, it's still an okay shot. It's just not.
Do it. That's your best thing to kill.
Yeah,
I mean, if nothing else, it's also just points because again, I do not think he holds the center at this point.
No.
This is
and
damage.
if you lose, you're getting an extra point for getting the objective, anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get penalty if you lose units. You just get bonuses if you get objectives and kill units. So kill the whites and get the objectives is definitely good for you, even you win or you lose.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably his best play at this point. Now, the trick to all that is if the beast goes into the wraiths, he has to put the beast into the wraiths. Oh, well, I guess we're just not going to do any of those things. Oh man.
Oh no! Don't go after the wraiths.
Well, here, look. With Bane Chant, he will be wounding on 2s.
Oh, there are their wounds. There's the 4 wounds from the knights. They were just underneath them.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I guess
they'll-
he's going for kill points.
But okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that Brotherhood unit now is there is no way to try and secure it.
Yeah, he had a safer spot if he
Yeah.
killed, because he had a really good chance of picking up those whites, I think. Even hindered.
No, I
He had
agree.
He had a good shot, and you hit them.
The wraiths are then in the way for any sort of charge on the knights from the Soul Reavers, from either Soul Reavers. The dragon might have been able to get a charge in them, but that's still preferable to Soul Reavers. And
especially because Antonio did not move his necromancers in a way that would prevent sidestep shenanigans from the
ensnares. Yeah,
the ensnares. He could fight that combat sidestep or something.
Yeah. I mean, he can, if he pops the RevCav troop, which I want to say he should, but like, man, I've seen RevCav troops do things.
Yeah.
I
mean, defense 5-14 is just,
it's such a brick. It's such a good brick.
You have to sort of ignore that it's a troop.
Yeah.
Like get that out of your mind. They are one lower nerve than like the waiver point of a normal knight unit, of a normal knight regiment.
Yeah.
So like don't, and especially this is what drives me nuts sometimes with sort of minimum model count, and that is that people will be out there with like 3 models on their base for their
you should put 4 on there, guys.
They're a troop of cavalry, and it always just feels so bad to hit something that's defense 5-14 nerve and has 3 skeleton horses on a base.
Oh, okay. I mean, this is also an interesting play, I guess. I guess he's trying to Hail Mary the turn 6 here. So like he's thinking, I have 2 Soul Reaver regiments that are hindered to the front.
They'll still eat them.
Yeah, no, they should.
So this is the okay, and there's his vicious roll against the whites, which he doesn't get, so only does 3 wounds, which puts them at 9. So he needs an 8 twice.
Yeah, I mean it's not bad.
Unless the beast is brutal, which it's not.
Man, imagine if that Pegasus had been in range, and then they would have double charged. The beast would have even been hindered.
Oh, that's a 9 and an 8.
He does have inspiring though.
But that's a 9 and an 8.
Oh, am I
right?
Hold on, I'm probably disconnected from the game.
Isn't that? Yeah, that's it. He gets them.
Oh, that helps, I guess. I mean, it's
he's picking up points.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
I mean, the issue here is that I don't think he needs like a 6-inch overrun and then a 3-inch sidestep at the exact same time to like get super lucky.
Sure. And he didn't overrun the beast, I guess.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think if he had overrun, if he had gotten the full 6 and sidestepped the ensnares the full 3, he would have picked up that token.
Yeah.
Was he within 6 of the token?
He's within 3 with the ensnares, which is also just a safe shuffle anyway. Like, there's no reason not to shuffle him sideways at that point. Yeah. I mean, that was a nice pickup from the beast. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, he picked up 3 units.
Yeah.
Turn 5. Not bad.
I mean, again, Antonio's play was too conservative, too trying to isolate the vampires out of all that. Yeah, I mean that's the guaranteed turn 6 pickup unless both of those necromancers do something. So that's actually not terrible for Mike, because that means he will actually probably get the bottom left one.
Yep.
And that's what I was worried about with those zombies sitting there all game, is they're less than the ensnarers. And I would have liked the vampires just fighting those ensnarers.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So if you're going to turn the ensnares to go down there, then you don't need to walk the beast forward. You're better off turning the beast back towards the fight, right?
I mean, the beast is out of. No, I think the beast is in the right spot because the beast, like again, at this point, I think Mike is still playing for a draw, right? Because the Brotherhood die. There is no saving that Brotherhood unit.
Right.
With where it's positioned.
Right. But now the beast is looking at zombies instead of looking at maybe a Soul Reaver regiment that it might be able to hit and pick up next turn.
Yeah, but like Bane chanted zombies in the rear.
Hindered?
Sure, but like, it's
Yeah,
still very risky.
They'll ground you, but
yeah, and like the Soul Reavers are going to be basically fresh at this point after this coming combat.
And he doesn't. Yeah. His dragon can pick up that token.
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest thing is that there was no need for those Soul Reavers to leave that position. See, I mean, this is no. You want to turn the ensnares toward that token, buddy. Don't. No.
Right.
You're thinking too hard now. You're thinking like maybe I could actually win the entire game by taking the center. And I hate to break it to you, but there is still a completely unwounded dragon that can just fly in front of you.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that he lost the ability to keep the ensnares pen, that would keep them from getting the Soul Reavers. You're not doing that. Stop it.
All right, that's where he's leaving them. They're moving on to turn 6.
Yeah. I mean, irrelevant of all of that.
He can still see the zombies with the ensnares, so if he wanted to, he could. No, he can't charge because the individuals are in the way.
They're not mighty. But the beast would
land on them.
it.
Yeah. Well, the beast would, and this necromancer on the corner here would probably block them. Well, I guess
he can also just pivot the zombies slightly to be out of charge arc. But
you can rear the beast with his dragon, and then front it with the zombies, or just shuffle barely to the right and then surge with the zombies.
What did I miss? Grant killed the Wraiths with the Brotherhood.
The beasts picked up the whites, which was nice.
Yep. And the knights picked up the wraiths, and there's the rear charge there. And then the ensnarers picked up that last RevCav troop. So he did pick up 3 units that turn.
Yeah.
But he could have made a play to actually burn that token in the bottom left last turn, which he didn't. He would have had to move the ensnarers differently after combat.
Yeah. He still needed a 3-inch sidestep. So like
33% chance.
Yeah. A 33% chance to miraculously pull out a win or at least a draw,
It was better chances than those heart piercers had of doing a wound at a couple times when he charged. So
yeah.
Do we like this charge on the beast of nature?
Sure.
I mean, I don't think there's any risk with it.
Hitting on 5s with the dragon, and if the zombies go in, hitting on 6s.
Yeah.
I think he's
on.
I mean,
I think he sidestepped the zombies to be out of the line of sight of the ensnarer, so they're not going in.
Right. I mean, the problem is that the ensnarers, in theory, can sidestep 3 inches, and they should. Well, they're only speed 5, so they're 2.5 inches. It'd be close. I don't know if they pick up that token.
They're not. But he's got to get something over there to block.
Yeah.
A potential turn 7 charge against the dragon.
Well,
because the dragon isn't within 3 inches. And
I mean, he's gonna pick up the Brotherhood, or he should pick up the Brotherhood, and then he's got Soul Reavers in the center, so he has the center now.
Yeah. But you want to win by 2, not 1.
I mean, ideally, sure. I don't think that matters in this particular event.
No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, in that case,
he's got 3 points. If he ends with the center token, he's got 5, regardless of how many Mike gets.
Okay.
Yeah. See, now
there's the possibility that you get the famous 1-1 on the Brotherhood, then you don't get the central, and then if how do you say, if Mike gets the other token with the snares
Yeah.
and moves the
Yeah.
Pegasus, he wins.
I mean,
On a very unlikely scenario, but
So-
why don't you just block the snares and make sure that
Yeah.
you win?
Yeah, you're right, because that's a double one, and then no roll for turn 7 is all
Yeah.
it would take for that to happen.
it feels like, I mean, Antonio had such a commanding position after Mike basically just deleted his army for Antonio. And now Antonio's making all these like really small and subtle, I don't want to call them mistakes, but just maybe being like, he's in such a commanding lead that he's just like being overly cautious of it. And like, I think that he's being too cautious.
Yeah.
And that's
He did-
actually
Overconfident.
risking him way more than he needed to here.
He did move the necromancers to go up there and get in the way of any ensnare.
Yeah.
Walk down and take stuff.
Yep.
So that's good.
Which is why the ensnarer should have turned, not
Mhm.
stayed facing the center.
Yeah. So they could have
They could have just walked or punched the necromancer, kill it, and overrun.
or charged right over him if there was room. There's just a lot more options when you're facing that way to begin with.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, if
Soul Reaper's
anything-
stacking wounds up here, so it's just they're the brother not inspired, so he's just looking for Snake Eyes once here, and there's a 3, super close, but enough.
Yeah.
I mean, if the ensnarers might be able to fit through that gap, though, is the issue, and get to the dragon, and then they still pick up that token, which, I mean, doesn't matter because the center is now going to Antonio as long as he overruns the Soul Reavers here.
Yeah.
So this is his turn 6?
Yep. No, they're already on it. They're already just on 3 inches.
Okay. As long as they're counting others in, then they're fine.
Yeah.
That's one of those you pre-agree.
30 dice, just 6 wounds, just 6 hits.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
not
what you
bad.
get for a
Yeah.
hindered charge, dude. He was.
Yeah, it's unlucky, but not so unlucky.
He was looking for like 9 realistically. That would have been the average. So 6 isn't like crazy under.
No.
And again, it's kind of a moot point, right? Because like, sure, he gets a hindered flank into the dragon, but like, does it matter?
It's the principle. You spend
All right.
all turn defending this token with these zombies, and at the final turn, someone's going to walk up and just take it because you're zombies and
Yeah.
you don't have real unit
Yoink.
strength.
Right.
Yeah.
Just right in front
So
of you.
if their
Mocking you
only
with it.
job was to protect that token, and they couldn't do that.
Cool. We're getting an unhindered Pegasus, the Beast, and then the Ensnarers. There's no way to take the center here, Mike. There is literally no way to take the center here, Mike.
Do it.
Wait.
If the Ensnarers killed the Soul Reaver Regiment on the left and overrun their full maximum, they would still not be within 3 inches of the center. He needs a turn 7 he needs a turn 7 and to kill the dragon and to kill the Soul Reavers. And then maybe he pulls out a sneak win. But then he's not getting the bottom left is the issue. Like there's still too many things he has to do, and he has no more time now.
Mhm.
Because he has more units now.
Yep.
Yeah. If the Ensnarers had done the 3-inch sideways move to pick up the token first,
Mhm.
then
It was there. Antonio left him an opening he didn't take.
yeah.
A 33% chance to just grab that, and then you
Hail
had
Mary, he gets a turn 7 and picks up both Soul Reavers.
Yep.
Because effectively fresh Soul Reavers against front Ensnarers. He needs like a 9 twice or something like that.
Yeah. Not
Well-
sure what he's doing here, other than trying to back up.
I
'Cause
guess
he
he
wants
has
to
the
make sure the
druid.
beast is within 3. I don't know why. Maybe he
try
hasn't
it,
realized.
there's a way. There's a way to get the token. I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's trying to get the bottom left token, but the ultimate point here is that it just doesn't matter because there's not enough time to then take the center token.
Yeah,
And that's why-
Oh, he's going to charge the dragon. There we go.
yeah, and that'll do it. I guess maybe he was checking to see if there was anything else he needed to do, or if that was all.
I mean, there was a
all.
path. It wasn't a good path, but there was a path that said, if he had sidestepped before, raised that thing.
So
now the dragon probably would have gone somewhere else if that had happened. So
If
this is
he-
all.
yeah, if he picks up the dragon, that's a big if, because they're hindered in snares in the flank. Well, he's got Bane chance, so I guess he'll be 50 attacks on 5s and 4s. So that's actually not terrible. And then the beast is countercharging. So if he picks up the dragon, he turns the ensnares completely around here. Basically gives the zombies a hindered rear. Or backs because he needs to back the beast up an inch, and then he takes that token. And then
No, he doesn't need to back the beast up to get the token at all because the ensnarers are more unit strength than the zombies.
Oh yeah, okay.
On
So I
their
guess
own.
sure. So he doesn't even need to do that. So he prays to kill the beastie.
He doesn't. Is the dragon even in
And it
range?
looks
beast
like
is,
he just
the
he
beast
missed.
is in range now. The beast is in range to remove the token.
It doesn't
And
matter. He
just-
doesn't need the beast.
Yeah, the beast is, the dragon is not. He's got 5 unit strength on it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
All right. Big hero
then-
Pegasus does no wounds.
yeah. And then the issue here is now, sure, he kills the dragon, but the Soul Reavers delete the Pegasus, and the other Soul Reavers then just go into the ensnarers, because I don't think there's a position they can pivot to where they're not, the Soul Reavers aren't facing them in some way, shape, or form. And then he can't get to the center, even if he wants to be really clever and try.
No, I don't think he can avoid the charge of the Soul Reaver with his snares.
Yeah.
No.
Like A for effort, making the
20
best
hits.
out of the situation Antonio kind of gave him at the
12
end there.
wounds. 12 wounds on the ensnarers on the dragon, right? With Bane Chant.
Yeah. No, it's a
And a 7.
But
Roll it again.
at least you're looking for points. So
yeah. He's getting some good kill points here.
I think that gets it.
Yeah, no, he absolutely got it. I mean, again,
Good job.
these were situations that Antonio was basically feeding him free points at the end of the game.
Mhm.
That did not need to happen.
so now he gets a double one on the Pegasus, a double one on the snares, and he gets the token on the center.
Well, I think they're agreeing that the Soul Reavers are already in.
Yeah, they are. I mean,
Yeah.
the line cuts through the token. Otherwise, he would have walked them forward some amount last
Yeah.
turn, which he could have easily done.
Because even if he had 6-inched it, I don't think the ensnarers would have been able to finagle through. Certainly not with only one pivot.
That's at turn 7.
Yeah.
No, I think that was
Back in the beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And
So we
now
can turn
he
them around.
pivots the Soul Reavers. No. You want to pivot them the other direction? You want to still play for turn 7, buddy?
Yes.
Unless they've agreed that the Soul Reavers weren't in range, in which case, if Mike wins this game on a technicality, then I'm done. I'm never commentating a game again. Oh man.
No, he's turned them to face.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that
So-
was just. I think that was entirely UB interface stuff, where like you're trying to
okay,
spin
okay.
something 360, and halfway through it gets wonky, so you start again.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, as of right now, they are tied 3-3. But as soon as the game ends, Antonio will get 1 more point for having more unit strength in the middle.
Yeah.
We are basically just waiting for a turn 7 roll here.
Unless they think that center is out.
If they think that center is out, then Mike has it. Okay, that's game.
Yeah. So I'm very curious now. I really hope that they agreed that they were in, because if not, then oh my god,
I mean, that's a pretty clear. Like that's not like a pixel lined up against a pixel. That's a pretty clear overlap, I think.
yeah.
The icon, even if you don't do it where line touching is in, the if you zoom in and click on it, the token is the objective is crossed over the line a little and is into the internal part. So
See, now they're checking that, which makes me concerned.
Yep.
Yeah.
it should
like if
be in.
you
He's
click on the
overlapping his
unit,
base.
Yeah,
If you-
and it overlaps the base.
Oh, I don't think they agreed on this beforehand. Which, no turn 7.
Mike, if you can click on the Soul
Okay.
Reavers.
Oh,
just to
okay.
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 100% in.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can. But yeah, there's a lot less units than I thought there would be. Sort of turn 4, turn 5.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Mike did a pretty good job cleaning stuff up in the last 2 turns, and Antonio probably didn't need to give him as many opportunities to clean stuff up as he did.
Yeah. Or rather, the Rev Cav could have still died while picking up something else in the meantime, and then the Soul Reavers would have inevitably picked up the ensnares and avoided this whole risking that bottom left token. Yeah, I mean, it still ends up working out for him, so he's fine, but he was in such a commanding position after that turn 3.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good game. I wasn't really sure how that was going to go looking at the list beforehand. But I think Mike did some pretty clever things towards the beginning of the game and towards the very end of the game, and just kind of in the middle, it got a little messy for him there. And I feel like Antonio played pretty solid all the way through, maybe a little overly conservative at the end. But given the scoring method that we're using here, you losing units doesn't really hurt you at all. So, giving away a couple units in the last couple turns to play conservative to make sure you get the scenario win, I think it's probably fine for Northern Kings.
I think the issue I saw around Antonio was just in that beginning, he did exactly what the shooting wanted him to do.
Right.
And he was in a position to really get attritioned out and to have his hammers exposed. And we saw how fast some of those hammers can go down to expose charges if they're set up well. And so I think there was a point where Antonio, was great. Very first moves, like I'm going to take the initiative and I'm going to put stuff in a good position. But there was that sort of turn 2, turn 3 where I really thought Mike had the upper hand, and then
absolutely,
and then gave up that position. So it was interesting because both sides, I think, can look back on that and learn some good stuff about their play.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the game had a lot of ups and downs. Like Antonio's second turn, he gets all 3 tokens and say, "Oh, Antonio's gonna win," and then Mike does the Pegasus trick and blocks line of sight, and then he's getting these 2 ones, and the shooting is eliminating all the Revenant capture. So Mike is gonna get the game, and then Antonio moves the dragon, and Mike makes the mistakes to move all his army against the Antonio, and then Antonio has it again. It's very swingy.
Yeah. No, it was a great game to watch. And it looks like kill point wise, they're pretty close. I'm guessing from their totals that Mike killed 1515 and Antonio killed 1680.
That sounds right, because it's 2 Soul Reaver regiments is 500 points right there.
Yeah, and a zombie and a couple of necromancers.
Yeah, so 700 points left, give or take. Sounds about right.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we hear you.
Congrats. Great game.
Thank you.
Congrats, Antonio.
Has been really tough.
All right, we're just waiting for Mike. Did we?
Mike is joining us.
Okay.
And then I apologize. I have to drop out now. I just wanted to say congratulations on the win. Congratulations to Mike when he shows up on the really good performance, especially digging out some opportunities at the end there. But I have to run, so I'm going to sign out early and leave all of the post-game shenanigans to the rest of you.
Yeah, no worries.
No, you're just pissed off that you didn't see the Redeemer vampire fight.
I
All
was hoping for that Redeemer Vampire showdown and the Ensnares Wraith pillow pool noodle fight. So we didn't
So disappointing.
we didn't see either of those
What?
epic combats. So I gotta go.
All right. All right. Thanks, Brendan.
So,
All right. Welcome back to Mike and Antonio. Again, congrats, Antonio, on the win. Mike, rough luck there, but definitely a very well played game. There were a couple things there that we thought were particularly clever and impressive. Over on the right side when you moved your I think the Pegasus over to block the line of sight of the dragon and protect your beast and your cav. We were like, oh yeah, that's a fantastic idea. That was pretty good. Yeah. Did we have any questions for either of them? So first of all.
Oh, I've got questions.
Sure. Very well played game out of both of you. It was super entertaining to watch. Felt like a great couple of swings there in the middle. So yeah, Matt, go ahead. What do you got?
For Antonio, I've got a question for both players. As we said, there was some big swings early on, and then things just kind of got intriguing. I guess I'll start with Mike. Mostly more than Antonio. One, and I know Mike, the host Mike, wanted to ask this question first.
Sure.
Was leaving the objective open in the top right intentional, or was that just a happenstance of, oh, he grabbed that, now I guess I'll block line of sight just because?
Yes. That was
okay.
Yes.
Okay. More confidence.
Yes, it was more of a confidence.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Same question for the snares.
Yeah, right. I guess the biggest question for you in terms of so we were talking, there was this big move, turn 3, like that was clearly your longest turn in terms of like movement and time taken. There was this all these things that you were trying to do with these charges, and my biggest comment, and I'm sure you'll see the replay, because I was losing my mind. I was like, you just this feels like a panic move. This feels like there's a dragon, I need to go, or there's this is turn 3 and I can't get to the bottom left in time, and it just felt like this giant surge forward of like, oh my god. And I guess the question is, at least for me, was it the dragon in the flank that was concerning, or was it the I just need to go because I don't have enough time to get to the bottom left?
No, yeah. So I had set up a situation where I had expected on the upper left near the building in the farm area where I expected a different result. And I actually was intending to shield his whole left side from coming in. And so the move with the dragon pushed me a little bit further. So I did have kind of a burst moment where I was like, okay, I need to take the best I can here.
Right.
But the whole thing fell apart. And I think what maybe some of you saw was maybe a quarter of an inch of his Soul Reavers was blocking one of my models, and I couldn't get by on the charge. So I needed to ditch him and hit him. And I just couldn't get that mechanic to work. And I said, this whole thing is all undone by one one move. And it was really impressive. And he had a lot of sweet counterplay maneuvers that he had done. And I hope I learned a few things from him. He just was an amazing opportunity to play against him and get some really great technical moves when you get jammed in. I really liked, like with the sidestep with his cav unit to block my horde. Of course, I had a really couple fluke rolls there that just could have been a little better. I mean, and we can talk about some of the other things, but I made a charge there going back to that same move with the I definitely expected different results from my charges. So on the wounded Soul Reavers, I think they had 6 wounds maybe, or 7 wounds, and I charged and only did 2 wounds, I think, with my sharp
elementals.
Yeah, that was pretty ending for my strategy. So and then it was like, okay, I know I've got a dragon breathing down my neck, and there really wasn't much more I can do at that point. I just had to take whatever the dragon was going to do.
Sure.
So
yeah. Okay. So generally speaking, it was oh shit, there's a dragon, and I need to make stuff happen.
I thought I had the advantage until the dragon had changed its play and come over in that corner there. Yeah.
Right. And then to Antonio, and just for the sake of the commentators, it may you're coming in a little fuzzy, so I'm hoping that we'll get this clear. But if not, if you can type it in the game, just in case. So we had on the flip side of that, right? So Mike had this massive surging engagement on turn 3, which I thought was like that felt like a mistake, right? And then on your side, we felt that like so I literally thought that Mike was tabled at that point, like that there was no chance in hell of him pulling it back, and basically I felt that like it felt kind of odd, right? So like the Rev Cav troop sliding to the left, I felt like that wasn't necessary. There was the king. We were all talking about how the king could have charged the knights and blocked them up and kept them from getting in the center, and at that point you pick up the rest of Mike's army and then just walk forward. And then the vampires just grind out against the ensnarers because there's no Bane Chant close enough to really swing that. And it just felt like you were being extra conservative with your play, like trying to get every single inch out of the Soul Reavers to get them to the center instead of I guess my biggest question there would be why the Soul Reavers toward the center and not countercharging the ensnarers, because I felt like that wasn't required. I felt you could have actually just ground out the ensnarers and prevented them from ever getting to that bottom left token.
Yeah.
I think you got your mute on.
Yeah. So I don't really remember which one you mean with vampire. I made a big mistake when I moved forward after I kill the Carrasco or the unicorn. That I moved
I don't
forward.
understand anything.
Can you
I can hear you. It's just kind of distorted a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know why, because so I was saying that the mistake that I was when I killed the unicorn, that I moved forward the vampire, and then the snare art charged me on my back. So they have a 75 attack, force 5, and he could kill me. And in case that he could kill the vampire, that would be really, really difficult for me to go to the center to control the objective. So
Okay.
that was the big mistake. I don't remember when you mean with the countercharge, the other vampire. I don't remember which one.
Gotcha. I think the gist of that was there was a risk of fighting the ensnares and him spiking and picking up the vampires rather than just safely moving the vampires to the center.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. Okay.
That's fair.
Which is kind of we were thinking. Like you seem to be playing very conservatively, not taking any risks. That's a risk he doesn't necessarily need to take. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Any other questions, or is this a good place to wrap it up?
And for Antonio, just do you think that you could have placed your Inspiring Necromancer better just to inspire the Revenant Cavalry so it didn't get blown away?
Yeah, that is a very good one, because actually in the turn 1 I lose one of these. That's because I didn't have Inspiring, and in the turn 2 I have the same. And I thought, okay, I'm not doing well with Inspiring because it was just a roll of, I don't remember, 10 or something like that, and that could happen in a game. So yeah, I think that I didn't. Also, I think that maybe my list needs another inspiring source, because it's not maybe it's not how I play the dragon, but it's just based on alone, so not inspiring. And the other vampire on horse that I used to use just for a big unit, that in this case was not too good because only for a couple of turns. So if I only have one source of fighting for the rest to spare the Revenant troops and was making it a mistake. Just with a couple of wolves and a good nerf test, you're out.
I believe the gist of that was the limit of only having one source of inspiring effectively made it difficult to cover everything that mattered.
Yeah, once you send the vampire away, yeah. And the heart piercers were having a pretty good day there for the first couple of turns of the game, I would say.
To throw one more to Mike here, just so that try to even the questions out. Early on, so we go all the way back to the beginning with deployment. Do you feel you got yourself jammed up in the center? Because I felt that it looked a little bit like one of those water elemental units for the longest time was just kind of like, I mean, not necessarily twiddling its thumb, because we were discussing how, like, if you have a Soul Reaver regiment that's behind something that dies in front of it, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because then the Soul Reavers just delete whatever's in front of them. But with water elementals, that's not always the case, right? Because there's nothing quite like Soul Reavers when it comes to beating things in the face. So it was kind of like I don't know if that was they just couldn't get out from behind the heart piercers without being at risk, which makes sense. Or rather more that the heart piercers the hope was that he would come into the heart piercers too hard, and then they're still there for the counter punch. I guess the question was how did you feel about that unit, I guess, is the best way to describe that question.
Yeah, great question. So the placement was more mid-deployment, and I expected most of the test games that I had for this army and against undead opponents, which was really coincidental. I actually had no idea what he was going to play. I actually played.
Oh
no!
May have locked it.
I really wanted to.
Oh, here it comes.
I really wanted to take and hold that wood line. I felt like that was a good fulcrum location. So I thought that was going to be more advantageous. And I think he had learned that lesson maybe earlier, that particular location is very hard to hold. And so if I had taken it, it might have been the end of the game by just holding the center of the table. And by him playing on the outskirts, it gave him a big advantage. And I think when I had two moves that I think I was counting on to really be important, and I think it was that flank, that rear charge on the Soul Reavers, where I had 75 attacks on the rear. Doing 5 wounds was not the number I expected, and and I also felt like the other Soul Reavers had taken quite a bit of damage, and I thought they should have also buckled on the charge from the
water elementals.
So if I had, from my strategy standpoint, I think I was considering blocking that line. So I knew that those, from history of other games, those troops of piercers are very expendable. So if somebody comes at them and they kill them, for me that's 300 points, as if it was artillery or something. You know, I feel like it's an expendable piece. So I didn't mind if he was slowed down a turn trying to chew through them, while I was able to reposition after taking the right and hold that woods again. So I was really trying to get back into the woods, because that dragon I knew was running over my landscape. So the posturing that he had was fantastic in the game, and I think that there's something to be learned from that.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much, guys, for letting us watch your game. It was a very well played game from both of you. Congrats to Antonio once again on the win, and good luck to both of you in the remaining rounds of the tournament. I would like to thank Matt and Luis and Britton for hanging out with me and
Thanks,
talking about
guys.
the game. Yep, and thank everybody at home for hanging out with us and watching the game. Coming up tomorrow, we are going to have Patrick Zora Allen versus Alex Coos at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. GMT. That one should be fun to watch. And I think that's it for now. So until next time, I'm your host, Mike Atkins, saying you stay safe out there, and we will see you next time on Dash 28 Live.
Thanks,
Bye, everybody.
guys.